Shalom, shalom. Happy Sabbath to the 12. This is Brother Donnie here.
Brother Xavier.
And today we are going to go into the Got Milk Part 2, the Ezra 7:10 recap. So, I said last time that I was up here, I was going to do a Part 2. I said I was going to do a Part 2 for, it was another class that I did recently. But I did not forget about that, all right? I did not forget about that. So just so I can be a man of my word, we're going to go ahead and get this lesson out here today. And before we go ahead and get into anything, let's go ahead and give shout outs to the people that's in the lesson. Shalom, Most High's world. Happy Sabbath. Happy Sabbath. All right, let's see. Shalom, Sister Tamaya. Happy Sabbath in the building. Shalom, Brother Brew. Brother Brew. All right. Shalom, Sean. Brother Sean, scribing for us. All praise to the Most High for the brother. All right. And shalom, Sister Destiny. Hey, all praise to the Most High. See you in the lesson, sis. And all right. Looks like we got a light. Looks like we starting off light today. You know what I'm saying? But it's all good. Even if there was not a single person here, we would still be preaching the word because somebody's bound to hear it. Just like what Paul said at the end of the day, a Christ is preached. So, that's what we aim to do here today. So, oh, wait, hold up. All right. Hey, shalom, Sister Sarah. Happy Sabbath in the building. Hey, shalom, Brother Quell. Lion out of Zion. Yes, sir. Happy Sabbath to you, bro. All right. So let's go ahead. Let's get Mark. Are you in Mark or Matthew? Okay. So let's get Mark 14, and we're going to go ahead and pay homage to the sister.
It's the book of Mark, chapter 14 and verse 3. And being in Bethany in the house of Simon the leper, as he sat at meat, there came a woman having an alabaster box of ointment of spikenard very precious. And she brake the box and poured it on his head. And there were some that had indignation within themselves, and said, why was this waste of the ointment made? For it might have been sold for more than 300 pence, and have been given to the poor. And they murmured against her. And Jesus said, let her alone. Why trouble ye her? She have wrought a good work on me. For ye have the poor with you always, and whensoever ye will, ye may do them good. But me ye have not always. She have done what she could. She is come aforehand to anoint my body to the burying. Verily I say unto you, whatsoever this gospel shall be preached throughout the whole world, this also that she have done shall be spoken of for a memorial of her.
Okay, so whenever we bring out this gospel right here, whenever we bring out the word, we always make sure to pay homage to the sister that poured the ointment on the body of our Messiah, Jesus the Christ. So let's go ahead. Let's send up prayers to the Most High and His only begotten Son. Let Him know that we hear and that we ready to listen and hear. Oh yeah. All right, Israel, blow trumpets. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to the Most High God, the creator of all things, the creator of heaven and earth. Thank you, Father, for allowing us to be here today. Thank you for allowing us to be here today as Israelites, because you could have very well made us Edomites, you could have made us Moabites, you could have made us Ammonites, but instead you decided to make us your seed. You decided to make us a part of the same lineage that you had your only begotten Son come out of. And for that, we thank you, Lord. All praises to you. We thank you for giving us this holy body And we thank you for giving us this holy mind because our minds was wicked and vile. But you in turn made it holy through your commandments, through your precepts, through us meditating day and night on your words and what you told us to do, what you told us not to do. Please, Father, I ask that you continue to order our steps and that you continue to order the steps of my brothers and sisters that scattered to or fro around this earth, because we know that you scattered our people for our iniquity and for our rebelliousness, for our frowardness. So please, Father, for my brothers that scattered to and fro, sick and shut in, please give them the ear to hear, give them the heart to listen, give them the mind to be open so that they may be able to receive your commandments, to receive your healing, so that that only begotten Son may come once the elect, once the sealed is together and ready. So in that, Father, again, I thank you for allowing us to come here. I ask that you allow us to be able to be edified today and that your word be preached out, that your laws and that your lessons be preached out, so that our people may know time and time again who you are and who your people is and what it is that your people have to do. And thank you for your only begotten Son. Thank you for allowing him to put his physical body on that cross so that we can have this grace here, so that we can be standing with fringes on today, not so that we're standing with mixed fabrics, not so that we're standing cooking on your holy day, but you made him die on that cross so that we can be here today keeping the commandments, so that we can have the chance to return unto you, so that we can have the chance to keep your word and not die immediately. So in that, Father, I thank you again, and I say all praise and glory and honor be to you and thy only begotten Son, forever and ever. Amen.
Amen.
Whew. All right, we are back. Okay, I see some more people in. Happy Sabbath, Sister Victoria in the building. I see you. All right, and we also got Happy Sabbath from Sister Yalia. Happy Sabbath to you, sis. All right, so okay, cool. If y'all end up hearing my daughter, I just want to apologize in advance. She heard cry aloud and spare not, and I'm telling you, she is not sparing a thing. So, we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna get into the first scripture today. We're gonna go to Colossians 2:8, because when we was here last week, I said part 2 was gonna be more on the holy days, more on the traditions, the culture that the Most High gave us. So before we really get into the holy days, the holidays that God gave us, because a lot of people don't even know that there's holidays in the Bible. Like Christmas, God did not tell us to celebrate Christmas. There is no scripture in the Bible that says on December 25th, you shall keep the feast of Christmas in remembrance of the birth of my son. There is no scripture out there that says that. There is no scripture out there that says, oh, in when is Thanksgiving? The 24th or 25th, 26th? You see, hey, we don't even remember, but hey, on the 24th day of November, you shall roast the turkey with fire and eat it and be glad. No, when you see Thanksgiving in the Bible, it's not talking about that Thanksgiving, right? It's talking about being grateful. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's get that Colossians 2:8. Let's set up the foundation for today's third Thursday of November. Okay. Well, there you go. But yeah, let's get the foundation set up for this class. We're gonna get Colossians 2:8.
It's the book of Colossians chapter 2 and verse 8. Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the traditions of men.
No, the tradition of God.
The tradition of men.
Read.
After the rudiments of the world, and not after Christ.
And not after who?
After Christ.
Dang, okay. So before we really get into these holy days, I want y'all to understand that anything that has been given to you outside of this Bible, and in fact, let's get Isaiah 8:20 before we dive even further, because I want y'all to understand that anything that was given to y'all that has came outside of the Bible, that has came through a man's own philosophy, right? That's why it says vain deceit, right? Because he's trying to deceive you, whether he knows it or not. Because again, if whatever you are keeping is outside of this Bible, just know you got to throw it away. Birthdays, there is no birthday in the Bible. We have not read Moses. When Moses turned 100 years old, he put a cone on his head with sparkles, and he had the confetti and a cake, and they ate the cake with gladness. You don't hear that, right? You don't hear Christ saying, when I pass away, make sure that you put a tree up and a star in remembrance of me. No, you don't read that, right? So anything that you are doing that's contrary to the word, just know it is a vain philosophy. It's a vain deceit. You have to throw it away. We can't say that we love God. We can't say that we love Christ, and we are not keeping the way of life that they design for their followers. It just doesn't happen, okay? Even if you want to disagree, the Israelites are the only people that's going to have salvation. Even if you want to disagree that, you still can't argue with the point that the whole purpose of the Most High in Christ is to show their people the proper way of life. So if you're going against that, you are not a follower of God and you are not a follower of Christ. So let's get that Isaiah 8 and 20 before we move forward.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 8 and verse 20. To the law and to the testimony.
Wait, hold on. Start over.
To the law.
To the what?
To the law.
Read.
And to the testimony.
Okay.
If they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them.
No, it's because they just know the proper way.
There is no light in them.
No, there can still be good people that don't keep the commandments.
Is no light in them. Okay.
So just like, Brother Xavier explained for us, he just said there is no light in them, right? He read it straight off the book, right? Into our ears. So again, if you are keeping something that has no correlation to this Bible, if you are following something that God told you not to do, and that he specifically told you not to do, then you should stop doing it. Let's go to Leviticus 20 and verse 23.
This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 20 and verse 23. And ye shall not walk in the manners of the nation which I cast out before you.
Why did God say this?
For they committed all these things, and therefore I abhorred them.
Okay, so he said they committed all these things, and therefore I abhorred them. Abhor means to hate deeply. All right, it's a different level of dislike. All right, it's not me saying like, man, dang, strawberry. Come on, Christina, why'd you got me a strawberry Nutri-Grain? I need blueberry. I hate strawberry. No, the Most High said he abhors them. It's deeper than that. I actually like strawberry, you know what I'm saying? It's just a good example. But the Most High says he abhorred them. Now he said because they committed all these things. What are the things that they committed? Read verse 22.
Verse 22. Ye shall therefore keep all my statutes and all my judgments, and do them.
And do what?
And do them.
Nah, just keep them in your heart.
And do them.
Just think about them while you listen to sad music and look at the ceiling.
Do them.
Read.
That the land, whether I bring you to dwell therein, spew you not out.
Okay, so, and that's why he said, for they committed all these things, because guess what? These heathen, these other nations that were dwelling in the land of Canaan at the time, they weren't keeping the commandments. Guess what the Most High did? He spewed them out. How did he spew them out? By the Israelites. The Israelites came through, conquered them, and it was no more. Just like if you go to, I believe it's Deuteronomy 7, where Moses was telling our people, like, you're going to go and you're going to destroy the Hittites, the Hivites, the Canaanite. He's telling us all these nations that we're going to destroy. If you go through history, you will find that the people that lived in the land of Canaan were destroyed by a people called the Sea People, right? They said that there was people that came from the Mediterranean Sea and conquered and wiped out these nations. Well, we didn't come from the Mediterranean. We came from the Red Sea. So yes, we are the Sea People, and we did wipe them out. And you know why we wiped them out? Because they wasn't keeping the commandments. So why am I bringing this up to you? Because in verse 33, the Most High is telling us this so that we can call to remembrance. Dang. Yeah, the Most High did obliterate whole races of people that was not keeping the commandments. Dang, yeah. The only reason we're in this land right now is because a people that was here before us was evil and wicked and sinful, right? And guess what? The Most High did the same thing to us. That's why he said the land spew you not out. Because, hey, we are out of the land of Israel. I'm telling you right now, I know you see this Grand Canyon behind us, but me and Brother Xavier are not there. All right, I'm telling you right now, me and Brother Xavier, we are not right here. All right, it is cold, unfortunately. It is cold. But yeah, so I'm bringing this up, Colossians 2:8, Leviticus 20 and 23, to show you that if you are following something that's outside of the traditions that God gave us, you are in sin. Just understand that. You are in sin. You cannot say that you are in the truth and you just celebrated Thanksgiving. You cannot say that you are in the truth and you celebrated Christmas or you celebrated Valentine's Day. You know, you can't say that because you know why? Because God said, if you really will serve me, then A, you will not do these things. Let's get Leviticus, let's stay in 20 and let's get verse 7.
Verse 7. Sanctify yourselves therefore, and be ye holy.
Be ye what?
Be ye holy,
Okay.
for I am the Lord your God.
Notice how he said, for I am the Lord your God, right? That's why he said to be holy, because guess what? I, the Lord, is holy. I, the Lord, am not wicked. I, the Lord, is not going to be running around with a ghost costume on trying to scare y'all in October. I, the Lord, is not going to be wearing green in March, punching you in your arm because you don't have the color green on, saying, happy St. Patrick's Day or whatever they say, right? He's not doing that. That's why he says, sanctify yourselves, right? Cleanse yourselves and be ye holy, right? And why is he saying that? Give verse 8 for us.
Verse 8. And ye shall keep my statutes and do them.
And what?
And do them.
Again, he's saying do them. He's not saying, just keep them, hold them dear and near to your heart. He's saying, I need you to perform these commandments. I need you to actually be a servant. You cannot serve somebody and you are not doing what they requested, right? It goes back to what I said last class. If you are in a restaurant and you are hungry and you ask the waiter, let me get a steak. And the waiter's like, nah, you really don't want a steak. You want a soup. Yeah, because, man, remember that one time you came here last time? You had that tomato soup or something? Man, you want soup today. No, I said I want a steak. You are not serving me right now. You think I'm going to give him a tip? No, I'm not even going to pay the bill because it's not what I asked for. So how you want God to pay for your God bill? How you want God to pay for your grace bill and to get you into the kingdom of heaven skipping and happy, and you ain't do a damn thing for him? How does that work? Right? That's unfair. But we look at God and we call God unfair because God says, I'm going to kill you if you don't keep the Sabbath. The creator of all things, the Almighty, the one and only. We look at him like he's unfair because he's telling us, you're not going to get into my kingdom if you don't keep the Passover. You're not going to get into my kingdom if you don't have fringes on your clothes. We call God unfair when he declared this from the very beginning. He declared this from the very beginning. God didn't switch up on us. All right. We switched up on God. That's what we got to understand. Let's go ahead and get Mark 7, and we're going to start at verse 7.
The book of Mark, chapter 7 and verse 7.
Well, actually, get verse 6.
Verse 6. He answered and said unto them, well hath Isaiah prophesied of you, hypocrites.
Okay, so you see, Christ is saying, well hath Isaiah prophesied unto you. Isaiah is Isaiah. Okay, that's just, how they said it around that time. Just like when you see Esdras and Ezra, they called Isaiah Isaias, right? And Christ said, hey, well hath Isaiah prophesied about y'all. He said, man, hey, he hit the nail on the head when it came to y'all because you guys are hypocrites. Read.
As it is written, this people honoreth me with their lips, but their heart is far from me.
Isn't that what I've been saying, Brother Xavier? Saying how people say that they love God, saying that they want to serve God, but they don't want to do a single thing God asked them to do?
Now, saying in the world, love is the action.
Exactly.
You know?
Love is an action. And notice how he said that's a saying in the world. So even in the world, right? When it comes to one another, we understand this person loves me by the actions that this person performs, towards me. But when it comes to God, that same logic does not apply. Why do we think God needs to be this soft simp of a person that's just going to roll out the red carpet for people that don't love him, for people that don't want to do the things he says, right? I forgot who I was talking to about this, but it was somebody. It was somebody at one of my last jobs. It was a coworker, and I was telling him, I was like, okay, well, if you have a kid, and he did have a kid. He had a daughter. I was like, if your daughter never listened to you growing up, like you told her to do something, she was like, F you, dad, and you like, oh, okay, all right. Hey, baby, can you heat up my food for me? Heat it up yourself. Okay, all right. Hey, baby, I need a towel. Yeah, I get out the shower and I forgot there's no towel. Can you come grab me a towel? Man, go get it yourself, right? You're not gonna think that your daughter loves you. And he was like, yeah, no, my daughter wouldn't love me. So I'm like, okay. So if we are supposed to be God's kids and God is telling us to put fringes on our clothes and we're saying, nah, we don't have to do that. It's like, okay. Yeah, I need you to keep the Passover. No, we don't got to do that. We got New Year's. Okay. All right. I need you to go ahead and keep the Feast of Tabernacles. No, we got Halloween, right? How do you expect God to address you as his child? I'll tell you, he's going to address you as his child, but in the worst way. He's going to address you as his child, a child that's going to get his behind whooped, right? Whooped. Okay? And he's not going to beat you on the sides like he told us to do. I'm telling you now, the Lord did not beat me on the sides. He did not beat me on the sides, man. Hey, he went ahead, he put on those UFC gloves. He didn't even put on boxing gloves. He put on those UFC gloves. And he gave me the Jacob treatment. You know what I'm saying? I had to survive 5 rounds with the Most High. All right, let's go ahead and let's get verse 7.
Verse 7. Howbeit, in vain do they worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men.
No, they teach the doctrines of God.
The commandments of men.
It's not the commandments of Christ.
Commandments of men.
And you know what? Man, this is the red letters, isn't it? So that means, if we really do believe this book is real, that would mean that Christ is speaking right now. So the Messiah is saying that even in his time, that there's people in churches that's teaching commandments of men, that's teaching lifestyles contrary to God. This is in his time. So if people was doing this in his time, what makes you think people are not still doing this now? Why do you think he's telling us this right now? Why do you think we have access to this word and we're in Mark 7 right now? Because Christ knew that our people would be doing this time and time and time again. And it's going to go into why we don't sacrifice no more. Why don't we physically do sacrifices? Because when we get into these holy days, you're going to see a lot of, we have to have the offering made by fire, 7 days. You're supposed to do it. And you're going to have people that's going to come and they're going to tell you, you see, we don't need to do those feast days no more because, we don't do the sacrifices no more. So we can't even do the feast days no more. You saying that you want to be like God. You saying that you want to keep the Passover. Okay, then go ahead and get a lamb. Go ahead and get a lamb without blemish on the 10th day. Go ahead and do that, right? You're going to have those wicked brothers that's going to come and try to throw off your course because Satan does not want you on that straight and narrow path. You know what? Let's get out of Christ's own mouth the reason for why these brothers teach commandments of men. Get verse 8.
Verse 8. For laying aside the commandments of God.
No, holding them in their heart.
Laying aside the commandments of God.
Read.
Ye hold the tradition of men, as the washing of pots and cups, and many other such like things ye do.
Okay, so, he's saying that because he's saying that you guys prefer your own traditions, your own ways over the ways that God told us to do, right? Because the Pharisees went up to Christ and was like, oh, why are your disciples eating without washed hands? the Baba Yaga is gonna hop up on them because they ain't washed their hands and you just subjected them to sin, right? But there is no scripture. There is not a single scripture in the Bible, right, that says that you are in sin if you do not wash your hands before you eat. Please, if you can find that for me, hey, find that for me because I need to be enlightened. You know what I'm saying? Because maybe Christ was wrong. Yeah, who knows, right? Maybe because that's how y'all be thinking. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's how y'all be thinking. Y'all be like, man, this Negro don't know what he's talking about. Man. You see right here, it says that you cannot wear fringes no more. You don't know what he says throughout your generations. That's how y'all be treating this, right? For laying aside the commandments of God, ye hold the tradition of men, right? Get verse 9.
Verse 9. And he said unto them, full well ye reject the commandments of God,
Yeah, you could go.
that ye may keep your own tradition.
So notice how he said full well, right? You guys completely reject the commandments of God. You don't even do it. And when you get peer pressured into doing something and you don't completely say yes, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, hey, bro, yeah, let's go to Mr. Jenkins' house and throw a rock at his window. It's like, isn't Mr. Jenkins crazy though? Didn't he come out the Vietnam War? Doesn't he have a lot of guns? Nah, man, Mr. Jenkins, he old, man. We gonna go throw a rock at his window and run away. We faster than him. Come on, bro, let's do it. You're gonna be like, okay, right? That's not full and well, right? These Negroes are full well rejecting the commandment of God, right? They're like, nah, we hate this Negro. We hate God and his commandments. They do it full well, right? We got to understand that our people's mind, especially because he's talking about our people, right? He's not talking about the Edomites. Christ could care less about what the Edomites are doing. I could care less what the Edomites are doing, right? They could be doing the guy from Despicable Me. What's his name, Gru? Yeah, they could be concocting a Gru evil mastermind plan. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? I really don't. They could try what they want to try, but at the end of the day, we know that the Most High has his hands on the elect. Not a leaf falls without the Most High's command, right? So I could care less what the heathens are doing, right? I could really care less. I care about our people because our people has been destroyed. Our mind's been destroyed so bad that the damage done is almost not repairable. That's how far our minds have been broken down just through slavery and through the sharecropping, through the Jim Crow laws, through the segregation, through the civil rights movement. Our people have been destroyed. Our minds are done, toasted. You know what I'm saying? We forgot our original way. We got brothers and sisters in churches right now saying that they keep the 10 commandments while ignoring the 4th commandment. Like literally, how do you keep the 10 commandments? You don't even know what the 4th commandment is. You're just, okay, just remember the Sabbath, keep it holy. Okay, well, yeah, we're doing that right now, church. Hallelujah. Yeah, we're keeping it holy right now. And we holied up. No, that's not the remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. Remember the Sabbath and keep it holy is Exodus 31, right? It is not working on that day. Is not buying on that day, not selling on that day. Making sure that you boil what you need to boil the day before. That you sieve, well, that's what boiling is. If you don't know, when you see sieve, they're talking about boiling. But it was another word that they use in Exodus 16 and 23. I can't think of it right now. But bake what you want to bake. That's what it was. Yeah, bake what you want to bake the day before. Don't do it on that 7th day, on that day of rest, right? Even if you want to say that the church is your Sabbath, right? Cool. You want to say Sunday is your 7th day. Hey, look. The Edomites, they done such a fantastic job that the calendar is destroyed, the times is destroyed, the maps is destroyed. Hey, they did a phenomenal job. So if you want to say that Sunday's your 7th day, cool. But you gotta still keep it holy. You still gotta keep it holy. If you want to cop out and say that, okay, well, Sunday's my Sabbath, why are you cooking on that day? Why are you buying the church that because I remember when I was like in 1st grade, I went to a Christian school, and we would go to church there every now and then. And at the end of the service, they would always be like, they would always be selling stuff. You know, they would be selling bread, pastries, all kinds of stuff like that, right? Now, again, if that is the Sabbath, why are you in church buying something? You know, why are you a leader of a church selling something on your so-called Sabbath day, right? They don't even go to church and say they keep it. Uh, well, I mean, I don't know what that last word is, brother Brew. You got you gotta explain it to me. But I'm with you. I know where your mind is. I know where your mind is. Okay, there you go. You see, that's why I said I'm with you. You know, that's why. Hey, Set claiming like a mug for
That's what I thought he was.
for real. And yeah, they have catfish dinners. Yeah, I'm telling you,
Man,
that's crazy.
and you know what's
Right?
even crazier?
What's up?
They use scriptures in this chapter for that because they'll go and use 19, verse 19, because it
Mhm.
entereth not in his heart, but into the belly it
Yeah.
goeth out. They don't keep reading because, like you talking about, out of the heart, it says in verse 21, proceed evil thoughts and deceits, as it says in 22. So they sitting there deceiving themselves, not knowing the same scriptures they justify themselves doing all that stuff. A couple ones down is cutting them. Like, it's crazy.
Hey, that's what they do to the John 3:16. Because in the beginning of John 3, Paul is literally saying that he's speaking to the Jews. Right? But we see whole world and we jump up out our clothes just like, whoo, the heathen, yes. You know, the people that's living amazing right now. Yes, they get to live even better. Yes. Man, what a fair God. You know what I'm saying? What a fair God. Yeah, our people is crazy. That's why we got to go over this right now. Because again, our minds are destroyed as a people, right? We got brothers and sisters eating turkey in remembrance of the day the Edomites killed and cooked our Native American brothers. They killed them and cooked them and ate them. They dressed them like a turkey. If y'all seen that Thanksgiving horror movie, that's the only Thanksgiving I like to see. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'll watch it again. But they they had one of them cooked like a turkey on the table. That's what they was really doing to them. They really was like, and this is why, right? These Edomites, when they came over here, the natives have knowledge on medicines and cures that for diseases that the Edomites never experienced because they're living on a whole different side of the world. So they couldn't just come and kill them and take their land because look, we dying. We sick, we dying. Little George lost his foot. You know what I'm saying? Oh, man, what's a heathen name? Alexander lost his hand. You know what I'm saying? John over there is struggling with gout. You know, even though John's really a Hebrew brother, but the Edomites, they like to bite our drip. You know, they like to bite our drip. But at the end of the day, these Edomites, they were like, we need to learn everything that we can from these people. We need to learn the medicines that they got. We need to learn how to survive here. And once we do, we can just kill them. And that's exactly what they did. And they didn't just only kill them, right? Because I'm gonna let y'all know right now, if y'all don't like God because he kills people, hey, you got a tough world ahead of you because everybody kills people. Okay? It's been going on throughout history. People have been getting conquered throughout history. Just because you hear God said he's gonna conquer people, oh, he's bad. You have no problem with Trump conquering the Gulf of Mexico, but you don't have a problem with God conquering the world. Man, step aside. You know what I'm saying? Step aside because you in the way, right? We don't need brothers that's celebrating Thanksgiving because I don't care what your reasoning is. I don't care if you're saying, oh, bro, it's just to be thankful, man. It's bigger than that. Well, if I was a full-blooded Native American, right? And I was at your table, and would you tell me to come to your Thanksgiving dinner? No, right? Because you understand it's wrong. But because the Edomites damn near wiped them out, you don't see no Native Americans around, so you don't have no problems keeping Thanksgiving. But I guarantee you, if there was as much Native Americans as Negroes, you guys would not be as happy and joyful keeping this holiday, right? We got to understand how destroyed our minds are. We got, no, no, you got some? No, no, you go.
Like you saying, you got so destroyed. They took in our own principalities and made them wicked. Like you look at all them holidays, it's core values and principalities that the Most High tries to teach us. Thanksgiving, like you said, we're supposed to be thankful every day, right? Not just one day throughout the whole year. Father's Day and Mother's Day, you're supposed to honor your father and mother every day, not just one day throughout the whole year, right? So when you look at all these holidays, I want to say holidays because I'm so used to saying it. Holidays, they took in our own principalities and turned it into something wicked, and it's just so crazy. And then we just follow along with it. But then whenever we come with the same principalities in a different manner, like we're talking about bringing the servant Most High, give it to the right way, you reject it. When we're saying the same things, but it's just the right way to go about it.
Hey, and that's why in 2 Corinthians 10, it says, we war not after the flesh, right? But after principalities, because that's an excellent example that Brother Xavier gave. Like, they take our principalities and they make it wicked, and they make they make the principality a focus for one day. When really these principalities we're supposed to focus on them every day. Honor thy father and mother, what he just said, that's the 5th commandment, right? We're supposed to do that every day, just like Brother Xavier said. But they go ahead and oh yeah, just for this one day, we gotta, oh yeah, so you don't, and they try to make you evil when you don't keep Father's Day. You know, my aunt, hey, I'm gonna put her on blast, you know what I'm saying? I would go ahead and put her on blast. It was like my first year in the truth, my first or second year in the truth. And man, I'm not gonna lie to you. You know, my family was not rocking with me. And I got a text. It was Mother's Day. I got a text, and you know, my mama was butthurt at the time too. You know, she didn't understand. But I was just like, yeah, no, like I'm not doing this no more. Like the 5th commandment is honor thy father and mother. And my aunt, you know, she came, she was trying to rebuke me. She was pulling out scriptures. You know what I'm saying? She was pulling out scriptures on me, and I was reading them. She was just like, if you claim that you love God with your new religion, then God says that you have to honor your mother and father. I was like, you know what? You are absolutely right. God did say to honor my mother and father, and I'm honoring them by keeping the commandments of the Most High. Because hey, guess what? If I make it to the pearly gates, hey, that's an honor. I raised a prophet. I raised one of the elect, right? Regardless if he's 144 or not. I raised one of the chosen, right? That's an honor. I'm honoring them doing that. I'm honoring my mother and father by not doing the vain traditions of these wicked men. I'm honoring them because when I honor God, I honor my family. You know why? Because the second greatest commandment is love thy brother as thyself. So God said to love your people like you love yourself. So hey, guess what? When I'm keeping these commandments, when I'm making sure that I'm not putting a knife to Brother Xavier's heart, when I'm making sure that, you know, I'm not stealing from Brother Xavier, when I'm making sure I'm not hopping in his car and taking his car on a joyride, he don't know, I crash it, and I walk out the car and I'm like, hey, bro, was that your car down on Broadway? Right? I'm honoring my family by keeping the commandments because, hey, these commandments were set in place for a reason. These commandments teach us how to deal with one another, right? We can't have our brothers and sisters lighting fireworks in remembrance of a day that our slave masters received independence from another tribe of their own people. It's crazy, right? Not only was we forced to help them, because think about it. Why you think the Americans won? They had Negroes. Like, what are you talking about? They had all the Negroes. So no wonder they won because they had us on that battlefield. And guess what? You think after we was done helping them on that battlefield that we was, you know, eating baby back ribs and we was lighting fireworks with them? No.
They know what the true Independence Day is too. That's why they made that movie with Will Smith. They know what's gonna happen.
Man, real talk, yeah. Because hey, them chariots,
when them chariots return,
them chariots gonna come through, and the real Jews is gonna come through, and we're gonna be like, it's over. All right, it's over with. Because hey, I'm telling you right now, if you a brother out there that you know you celebrate the 4th of July, or you thinking about celebrating it next year, I just want you to think about the people that died, our brothers and sisters that died during that time period. Do you think they're going to be joining you lighting that firework, or are they going to slap you in your face? I think they'll slap you because, hey, I'm telling you, if I died, fighting a war, where I'm watching my brother get pulled apart by horses, right before we had to go to this war. I watched my other brother get flogged. If y'all don't know what flogging is, you really don't want to know what that is. I'm not gonna lie to you, because that changed me when I knew what they were doing to our brothers, right? When you get in a broken back, like, you got to think about, do you think these brothers will be lighting these fireworks with you? These sisters that got, sexually assaulted by these Edomites, being forced to have kids they don't want to have, being forced to be ripped away from their own children, being treated like animals, like breeding animals. Do you think they're going to be lighting that firework with you? No. I could understand if we received a reward like freedom on July 4th, right? I could understand if we got freedom, like, oh, you know what? Hey, you Negroes did so good that you don't got to pick cotton today. No, that didn't happen, right? So why are we right now keeping the 4th of July and we're just like, oh, well, even though I know what happened in the past, it's just like what Brother Xavier said. It's just the message, the principality, being glad to be free. What are you talking about? You're not even free now, right? Your mind is in shackles. You in Esau shackles. You in that Daniel 7 shackles, right? Those times and those laws were changed for you, right? Thankfully, they ain't changed for us. The Most High opened our eyes and allowed us to see, look, I was the same from the very beginning, right? So let's get back to our own culture. Let's get back to our own holidays, right? That God the Almighty gave to us, his people. Okay? So let's go ahead. We talked about the Sabbath on the last class. So we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna get into the feast, and we're gonna start in Leviticus 23. We'll start at verse 2.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 23, and verse 2. Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, concerning the feast of the Lord, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations, even these are my feasts.
Okay, so just know that all the feasts that we're about to read about in Leviticus 23, they are all supposed to be holy convocations, right? You could go ahead. You could get verse 3.
Verse 3. 6 days shall work be done, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of rest, a holy convocation. Ye shall do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of the Lord in all of your dwellings.
So like I said, we're not going to dive deep into the Sabbath on this one because we did the last class. But just know, 6 days shall work be done. The seventh day, you are not supposed to rest. It's not that you have the option to, it's not like you have the option to rest. You are required in every sense of the word to not work. Okay? And we also, if you don't know, we're not supposed to cook. Okay? We're not supposed to buy or sell. All right? So we're going to move on from the Sabbath, and we're going to get verse 4.
Verse 4. These are the feasts of the Lord, even holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their seasons.
Okay, so just know in their seasons. So that also lets us know that these feasts take place in a specific season. They take place in a specific time. So you can't, just like how the Sabbath, technically the Sabbath has its own season. That season is the seventh day. It might not be fall, but that span of time is on the seventh day, right? These other feasts, they happen on actual seasons, right? We have Feast of Tabernacles. That happens around fall. We have Passover. That happens around spring, right? We have dedication, which is not in Leviticus 23, but we're going to touch on that. That happens around winter, unfortunately, So we got these feasts that are supposed to be kept in their own appointed time. All right. So let's go ahead and get Romans 7 and 7 and 12, because, he said these feasts, right, are supposed to be holy convocations, right? And I want y'all to understand moving forward that the only thing holy is the word of God. The only thing holy is the commandments.
It's the book of Romans, chapter 7 and verse 12. Wherefore, the law is holy, and the commandment holy.
And what is holy?
The commandment holy,
The commandment. Interesting. Read.
and just, and good. Was then that which is good made death unto me?
You can. You good right there. So yeah, I just wanted to show y'all that at the end of the day, the only thing holy, the only thing just, the only thing good is the commandments, right? That's why the scripture says there is none good but God, because God created the commandments. The commandments is God's own philosophy on what's right or wrong. And guess what? When God has a philosophy, it's a fact. It is a fact. Okay? So that's God's own understanding of what's right and wrong in this world. And because God created all of us, because he created the concept of right and wrong, naturally, he would be the only one that's good, right? So we have to understand that when we see the word holy in the scriptures, we got to understand that it's in accordance to the laws. You are not having a holy convocation if you are gathering with people not in the truth on these Sabbath days. That's not a holy convocation. You're convocating in a sense, but I even think in the definition of convocation, it says holy. Hold on, let me see. Okay, no, it just says a large formal assembly, but you can have a formal assembly of people and it not be holy. You know why? Because if you're having a large formal assembly of people on the Sabbath day and you guys are at the strip club, well, hey, that is not a holy convocation. That is a wicked convocation. If you guys are on Passover at the strip club, that is a wicked convocation. Okay? If you guys are at the casino at the Sabbath, that is a wicked convocation. If you guys are man, there's so many things that our people do. If you're at the liquor store, we all see the brothers that hang out at the liquor store, outside, they just be standing convocated. They be there first day in the morning. And if you're doing that on the Sabbath and you're not amongst brothers with fringes on talking about the commandments, that's not a holy convocation. All right. And yes, like what Brother Sean said, unfortunately in the winter is that Feast of Dedication Day. I love Feast of Dedication, one of my favorite holy days, but man, yeah, they'll never live that down at the club. Yeah, I'm telling you, at the club is wild. I ain't even gonna lie to you. At the club is crazy. Okay, so let's go back to Leviticus 23, and we're gonna get verse 5. We're gonna get into the first holy day outside of the Sabbath.
Book of Leviticus, chapter 23 and verse 5. In the 14th day of the first month, at even, is the Lord's Passover.
Okay, so in the 14th day of the first month, at even. Okay, so he even gives us the specific time. At even, right? At the going down of the sun, right? So when we see the sun going down, oh wait, guess what? It's evening time. All right. So let's go ahead and let's roast that lamb. Let's get that lamb roasted. You know what I'm saying? Let's go ahead and let's have a good time. Okay. Let's get you could get verse 6 too.
Verse 6. And on the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread unto the Lord. 7 days ye must eat unleavened bread.
Okay, so if you guys don't know what unleavened bread is, I did not know what unleavened bread was when I first came into the truth. When I first seen it, I was like, I ain't gonna lie, this looks kind of nasty. But I ate it. I'm glad I did, because it was fire. It changed my life. But if you don't know what unleavened bread is, it's bread that has not been proved. When you prove dough, you allow the yeast to rise. All right, unleavened bread, the bread has no yeast. The bread has not been proved. It has not been given time to rise. It's unleavened in every sense of the word. Leavening is an agent that allows things to rise. So baking soda, that's a leavening agent. Yeast, that's a leavening agent. There's a lot of leavening agents that we really don't know. You have to look them up. I'm telling you, if you're keeping your first Feast of Unleavened Bread, if you see something that you do not know, look it up. Look it up, because I'm telling you, this world is evil. They will find all kinds of ways to put things that we're not supposed to have, in everything, really. So let's get verse 7 as well.
Verse 7. In the first day ye shall have a holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein.
Okay, so in the first day, right, it shall be a holy convocation. So the first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, which starts at the 15th day at even, right? That's our holy convocation. We're supposed to gather in accordance to the laws, right? And we're also not supposed to work. Let's get Exodus 12, because I'm saying Passover, I'm saying Feast of Unleavened Bread. You guys are seeing it here, but you're probably like, what the hell is he talking about? I'm seeing Passover, I'm seeing unleavened bread. Why does that matter? Right? Hey, I was like that too. I was just like, Passover, unleavened bread. I mean, I heard of Passover before. I'm pretty sure most of us have. But I was just like, unleavened bread? What is that? Right? So get Exodus 12 and verse 5.
It's the book of Exodus, chapter 12 and verse 5. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. You shall take it out from the sheep or from the goats.
Okay, so right there, the lamb that we are going to roast with the fire, it has to be a lamb without blemish, right? Now, I know there's some of y'all right there, right now are just like, oh, dang, okay, so when Passover comes, I need to make sure this lamb had no blemish. Unfortunately, we do not live on our land. We do not live on land that we own at the moment. So, if we did have land that we own, and if we was raising, lamb, which would have been dope, hey, you better do that. You know what I'm saying? That definitely applies to you. But if you like Tobit, you in captivity, you got to do the best that you can do. You know what I'm saying? Because, hey, Tobit still made sure to bury his brother, right? Even though he was in captivity. He knew that there was things that he couldn't do, but Tobit served the Most High with all his heart, all his mind, and all his soul. That's what that looks like, right? What that looks like is not seeing this and you like, oh, well, I don't have any lamb, so can't do it, right? That's not serving God with all your heart, right? Serving God with all your heart is, okay, I don't have lamb. All right, what else did he say to do, right? Get verse 6.
Verse 6. And ye shall keep it up until the 14th day of the same month. And the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening.
Okay, so on the 14th day, right, of that same month, which is the first month, excuse me, it says the whole assembly of the congregation shall kill it in the evening, right? So evening comes, it's like, all right, it's time to kill you, Bambi, if that's what you're going to name the lamb. It's time for you to go. Get verse 7.
And they shall take of the blood and strike it on the two side posts and on the upper doorpost of the houses.
Okay, so he's saying that because at the time, during this Passover, the Lord passed over the Israelites in the land of Goshen and slew all the firstborn of the Egyptians, right? Let's go and well, I ain't gonna jump the gun. We're gonna get verse 8.
Verse 8. And they shall eat the flesh in that night, roast with fire and unleavened bread, and with bitter herbs they shall eat it.
Okay, so this is the tradition. Just like people say, how can you have a Thanksgiving with no turkey? How can you have a Passover with no lamb? Right? Just like people say, how can you have Christmas without the holiday ham? How can you have Passover without the bitter herbs with the lamb? Right? This is our custom. This is something that was taken away from us. This is something that we've forgotten, right? That's why we're bringing it to remembrance now. Because, hey, it says after you get that lamb and you kill it at evening on the 14th day, you're supposed to roast it with fire and have unleavened bread, right? So even though Passover is not the first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, right? We are still supposed to eat unleavened bread on the day of Passover. And this is all going to make sense once I really explain to y'all why we even had to eat the unleavened bread in the first place, right? Because the unleavened bread, it is symbolic. It is symbolic of, like, that's why we got 1 Corinthians 5:7. Purge out the old leaven, therefore, that you may be a new lump, right? So in a sense, unleavened bread is us purging out the spirits that's contrary to the Most High. And when I mean spirits, I'm not talking about no, I'm talking about your mindset. I'm talking about the thoughts that are contrary to God, right? That Feast of Unleavened Bread, it is symbolic of that, right? But there's a very literal reason why we had to eat unleavened bread. And it's gonna get explained to you. Let's get you can read with verse 9.
Verse 9. Eat not of it raw, nor sodden at all with water, but roast with fire, his head with his legs, and with the appearance thereof.
Read.
And ye shall let nothing of it remain until the morning, and that which remaineth of it until the morning ye shall burn with fire.
Okay, so we was not supposed to have any remaining to the morning. Why is that? Well, because at this point of time, right, I said the Lord was passing over, right, all the Israelites in the land of Goshen and slaying the firstborn of the Egyptians. So just put into perspective, let's say, let's say the president, right, the president of this country has the Israelites, contained. And, there's a red carpet for us to go back to Jerusalem. But the president's like, nah, you Negroes staying here. You Negroes ain't going over there. And then we have somebody like Moses, right? We have somebody like Moses that's saying, hey, let my people go. Let them go back to Jerusalem, okay? And, our Moses is saying, well, if you don't let these people go, then our God is going to put curses on the country of America, right? Now, let's say the president's like, nah, this is America, Gulf of America. We taking Canada. This is the greatest nation, right? So let's say that happens, and then one night, all the firstborn of everybody in this country die. The firstborn dog, firstborn cat, the firstborn son. No, you got firstborn of everything. Firstborn goat, firstborn cow. And right before that happened, the president was told that there was going to be curses put upon him for holding this people. What do you think the president is going to do when he wakes up and he sees the whole country in duress from all the firstborn being dead? Is he going to go to the Israelites and give them a piece of candy? No, right? He's going to wake up and he might try to nuke us. We live in the future now. He might try to push that button on us. He might go ahead and get them drones on us, right? But I'm saying that to say, if something that cataclysmic was to take place, we couldn't be in one spot. We would have to move, because guess what? People would be coming after us. People would be coming towards us. Like, hey, these Negroes here, they got the true God living with them, right? Read verse 11.
Verse 11. And thus shall you eat it, with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand. And ye shall eat it in haste. It is the Lord's Passover.
You shall eat it in haste. And notice how he said it too. When you eat it, your loins are girded. Your shoes are on your feet. Your staff is in your hand, your walking staff. Hey, we did a hike for Tabernacles, and I'll tell you, hey, that staff Brother Xavier gave, to my wife, hey, that helped her get through that hike. You know what I'm saying? That was her support, right? So think about it. He's saying make sure your shoes are on your feet. Make sure your loins are girded. Don't get caught with your pants down. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you got your staff in your hand. Because after you eat this, you have to leave. Eat it in haste. He didn't say just sit down. He didn't say to do that, right? He said eat it with haste. Because I'm about to do what? Read verse 12.
Verse 12. For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and will smite all the firstborn.
Nah, some.
All the firstborn.
Nah, not all of them.
Will smite all the firstborn
Read.
in the land of Egypt, both man and beast, and against all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgment. I am the Lord.
Okay, so and when we also see all the gods of Egypt, let's not get mystical. Let's not get the chakras and the crystals, right? He's just talking about the lords of Egypt, right? Yeah, these nations, they may have had gods, quote unquote, but there's a reason why we have the living God, right? Because our God is the only God that is alive. Kali, Ra, Sobek, they not real. Okay, there is not an alligator with an axe, that is walking on two legs that's gonna drag you to the Nile River, right? That's not a real person. There is not a bird man with pecs, that can beam light at you. That he's not real. All right, these are not real gods. Okay, that's why he said he will execute judgment on them because they are doing things contrary to him. They are doing things contrary to the way of life that he had set out. So let's go ahead and get we'll get verse 15. More so talking on the Feast of Unleavened Bread.
Verse 15. 7 days shall ye eat unleavened bread. Even the first day shall ye put away leaven out of your houses. For whosoever eateth leavened bread from the first day until the 7th day, that soul shall be cut off from Israel.
Okay, so 7 days. We have this feast of unleavened bread for 7 days. Passover is that one day at even, right? The following day we have unleavened bread. That takes place for 7 days. And it says, even the first day ye shall put away leaven out of your houses, right? For whosoever eateth leaven from the first day until the 7th day will be cut off from his people. And notice how he said will be cut off from Israel. So, I'm just thinking about this. When we're talking about the wild branch, the wild branch that's going to be grafted back in, is it possible that the wild branch could just be Israelites that did not keep the commandments and was cut off from Israel? Nah, it's the heathen, because that's the only way that can make sense. You see, again, our minds are destroyed. We are clearly reading that if we do not do these commandments, God will look at us like heathen. He said you will be cut off from Israel. He said you are not black no more. All right, if you do this, you're not black no more. Right? Like how our people be like, oh yeah, his black card got revoked, right? God said, your God card is revoked, right? You're not my people no more. Again, the heathen has nothing to do with this, okay? Just like God said we could be cut off from being Israel, all right? When God is saying later on in the Bible that he's going to graft the wild branch back in, he's talking about the wild Negroes that wanted to do wild-ish, that wanted to be sodomites. That's wild. He wanted to graft back the people that wanted to cook on the Sabbath. That's wild. Yeah, they wild. And now he's bringing them back because, hey, guess what? He says Joseph and Judah will be that one stick, right? He needs all the tribes together. He needs all our people together. All our people that's willing to keep these laws, that's willing to keep the Feast of Unleavened Bread, right? Read verse 16.
Verse 16. And in the first day there shall be a holy convocation, and in the 7th day there shall be a holy convocation to you. No manner of work shall be done in them, save that which every man must eat, that only may be done of you.
Okay, so in the first day we got the holy convocation. The 7th day is the holy convocation, and then he says no manner of work. So that means, hey, it's treated like a Sabbath. It's treated like a 7th-day Sabbath, with the only caveat being that we can cook. Because when he says that no manner of work shall be done, save that which every man must eat, he's not talking about the work it takes for you to put the fork to your mouth. No, he's talking about the work it takes to prepare and make the food. Cooking is work. There's a reason it's a job, right? Where would we be today if there was no cooks in our society? Right? I mean, we would have to shockingly learn how to do it ourselves, right? But if we didn't have no cooks in this society right now, it'd be chaos, right? It'd be chaos. People's relying on DoorDash now, Uber Eats. No one knows how to cook no more. Man, it's going to be chaos, right? So I'm just only saying that when he says, no manner of work shall be done, save that which every man must eat, he's telling you that you are allowed to cook, right? And that's on the first and seventh day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Read verse 17.
Verse 17. And ye shall observe the feast of unleavened bread, for in this selfsame day have I brought your armies out of the land of Egypt.
So why do we do this?
In this selfsame day have I brought your armies out of the land of Egypt.
Read.
Therefore shall ye observe this day in your generations by an ordinance forever.
Okay, so he said forever, right? So the Feast of Unleavened Bread, the reason why we do the Feast of Unleavened Bread is because on that day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, the Most High swallowed up the Egyptians with the Red Sea, right? That's why we are thankful. That's why we are glad that, oh man, it's Passover. All praises to the Most High. Because guess what? On this day on Passover, the Lord passed over all the Israelites and slew the firstborn of our enemies. All praises to the Most High. Just like how these Edomites get these fireworks, they're like, yeah, brother. And they're lighting these fireworks, looking at the sky with a Bud Light in their hands. We need to be, yeah, brother, lighting the fire with the lamb while we got the bitter herbs on the side of the plate, you know, with the Bible in our hand instead of that Bud Light. And we remember in the time that the Most High delivered us from the Egyptians. That's why we keep these days, right? And I also said that the bread had to be unleavened for a specific reason. Let's get verse 38. Verse 39. We'll get verse 39.
Verse 39. And they baked unleavened cakes of the dough, which they brought forth out of Egypt, for it was not leavened.
Okay, now here's why it was not leavened. Read.
Because they were thrust out of Egypt, and could not tarry, neither had they prepared for themselves any victual.
It happened so fast because you gotta think about it. Like I said, the Passover took place on the 14th day at even, right? So most of the time at even, a lot of people are, winding down for the day, getting ready to go to bed, you know what I'm saying, chilling, right? And, this cataclysmic event happens, right? Now, we did not have the time to go to sleep, wake up, a new day. Oh, we got to go? Okay, cool. No, when that happened, they were screaming. I guarantee you they were screaming. I guarantee you there was all kinds of, it was like World War III, World War III in Egypt, right? Now, we had to go because, hey, we was the cause of that, right? Because our God went ahead and did that for our people, right? So we didn't have time to go ahead and, prove the dough, because anybody that has ever made bread before or that has seen people make bread before, that when you make the dough, you have to cover it and let it rise, right? We didn't even have time to do that, right? We didn't have the few hours to go ahead, put the yeast in the dough and let it rise. No, that's why he said to make sure your shoes are on your feet. Make sure your loins are girded, right? Again, hey, don't get caught with your pants down, all right? Make sure your staff is in your hand, right? Because you're going to have to go in haste. That's why he said eat it in haste, right? Because we were still on a mission, right? We still had things that needed to be carried out. So when we read in verse 39, because they were thrust out of Egypt and could not tarry, that is why we have to eat the unleavened bread, because we didn't have time to make proper bread. Again, the span this whole thing took place was like hours, right? Because it happened at even on the 12th day, and then on the 15th day, the Most High delivered us from the Egyptians, right? The 15th day, the Most High split the Red Sea, boom, collapsed it on them, right? That's not a lot of time in between. So when all that stuff was happening, the Most High made sure that we knew, hey, look, your time to leave is now, right? Do this in remembrance of what I'm about to do for you. So that's why we keep the Passover. We keep the Passover because we got independence that day. All my black folk, all my Hispanic folk that want to, I highly doubt there's any Native Americans out there celebrating the 4th of July. I highly doubt it. But, all of my black and Hispanic folk out there, man, put the Bud Light down, right? Put the fireworks down. We got Passover. We have our own Independence Day. Why are we celebrating the day that our oppressors got independence. We were still slaves. Hey, to put this in perspective, the emancipation, well, before the Emancipation Proclamation, right? The Declaration of Independence, right? Happened at 1776, right? That's when we had this Declaration of Independence. Now, the Emancipation of Proclamation took place in 1863. Do you guys understand that when America got its independence, we were still enslaved for almost 100 years? Why are we lighting fireworks? It is blowing my mind. They used us to win the war. I guarantee you they would not have won the war if they didn't have the militia of Negroes that they had. They won the war because of us, and they didn't give us oh, man, here's that peach. You can eat that peach now. I'm not going to whoop you for eating that peach on the ground. No, he wasn't like, oh, here's this watermelon right here. Hey, I want you to eat this watermelon. No, they looked at us. They said, whew, all right, Negroes, get back to picking cotton. Right? Mind you, the Declaration of Independence was 1776. The Emancipation Proclamation was 1863. That is almost 100 years. That is crazy. Why are we lighting fireworks? I don't understand. We need to stop. Okay? We need to light the lamb fire. That's what we need to light. We got our own Independence Day. That's Passover, right? That's Feast of Unleavened Bread. Because Feast of Unleavened Bread is when the Most High swallowed up the Egyptians, right? We got to understand that we have our own holidays. We have our own culture. We need to stop trying to be like Massa, right? What Massa has for us is not good for us, okay? The only thing good for us is, again, Romans 7 and 12, the commandments. You got something for us, Brother Xavier?
Yeah. The scripture in Ecclesiastes chapter 5 and verse saying, "Make no tarrying to the Lord," right? And it just came in my mind. Yeah, you can go ahead and read it if you want to. 5 and 7.
This is Ecclesiasticus or Sirach in the Apocrypha, chapter 5 and verse 7. Make no tarrying to turn to the Lord.
Make no what?
Make no tarrying to turn to the Lord.
Okay, so that's all I really wanted to get from that one. But because you brought it up in verse 39 and Exodus 12, they were not able to tarry, right? So when you hear this word, you should be in a quick rush to, like Brother Donnie's saying, to get out of all these things and return it to the Lord. You shouldn't want to, oh, I got time. Like you said, it takes time to raise that bread. If you're receiving this word in sincerity, you're going to make haste, just like we had to make haste in the Passover to, like the scriptures tell us, depart from her, so you do not, for me, get the same destruction that she's going to about to befall upon her. So the same, again, principalities in it, man. It's just amazing to see the Most High matches everything up, and all praises for him giving us that spirit to want to make haste to return it to him, as you're talking about.
Hey, all praises to the Most High, because hey, even in a excuse me, even in Sirach 5, yeah, even when it says make no tarrying to turn to the Lord, it's just like what he said in Exodus 12 and 39. We couldn't tarry, right? Because we had to return to the Lord, right? The whole purpose of us leaving Egypt is so that we could return to the Most High as his servants, and he can be our God again, because we were serving the gods of Egypt, right? So it's just like what Brother Xavier said. When you hear this, don't wait, right? Tarrying means wait. Don't wait, okay? There's a soundbite. It's like this Haitian dude. He used to always say, "Don't wait, don't wait, don't wait." You know what I'm saying? hey, shout out to him. But don't wait to return to the Most High. You understand? Because we gotta understand that we don't have forever. God has forever, right? So how long, like, let me put it like this. God can wait forever, right? Our bodies can't keep up that long, right? So God can sit and wait for us to get right until the very, very last second. And it's not going to put one number on God's age. He's going to be okay. So we got to understand that, our time is short. we only live about 70, 80 years. We don't got the time span of Adam, of Moses, you know. We're like, especially Moses, my man was old in wars, right? We don't have that same vitality, right? So we especially cannot tarry. That's a good scripture. And we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna talk into we're gonna get into Pentecost, you know. And when we get into Pentecost, we're also gonna get into the sacrifices, because like I said, it's inevitable, you know. In a lot of these feast days, there are sacrifices that were required for us to keep. Those sacrifices are the law. Yes, 100%. You know, are those sacrifices a part of the law? Are those sacrifices a part of the holy day? Yes, 100%. But we are going to understand in this lesson how we sacrifice now. Okay. But before we get into that, we're going to get into Pentecost. You know, I just know that when we get into Pentecost, it might confuse some people. So we're going to touch on sacrifices after that. So let's get Leviticus 23, and we'll start at verse 10.
It's the book of Leviticus, chapter 23, and verse 10. Speaking to the children of Israel, and say unto them, when ye be come into the land which I give unto you, and shall reap the harvest thereof, then ye shall bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest unto the priest.
Okay, so first thing that I want to touch on is that you notice how he said, you know, when ye come into the land, don't be that brother that's like, oh, you see, we not in the land of Israel, so how can we keep the Pentecost? Because it says, when you come into the land, brother, when you come into the land, we in the land of Esau, right? Please don't be that brother, because this is why I'm saying it's important to think, right? It's important to think. Okay, so let's think about this, right? In Passover and Feast of Unleavened Bread, we was on the run, right? Okay, so what happened after the Most High collapsed the Red Sea on the Egyptians? Did we spontaneously teleport to the land of Israel? Did we spontaneously open our eyes and the Most High did Thanos with the reality stone, snapped his fingers and turned the forest and the wilderness into Israel? No, right? We was wandering in the wilderness, right? If you guys don't know what the wilderness is like, I encourage you to go to any, you know, state park and really try taking those hiking trails. That is what, and that's not even pure wilderness, because these paths were created. They were in the real wilderness, right? Before, you know, roads were paved, before we had campsites, right? They had to make their own campsites. Okay, we did not have the time to sit around and grow crops for a year, to sit around in one location. We was constantly moving, right? It got to a point where we was moving in a circle. I ain't gonna lie to you. Hey, for 40 years, God had us moving in that man, if you guys ever seen The Watchers, it's this movie on Netflix. They're in this forest, and the moment you get into this forest, right, you immediately, the way that you originally came always changes. So whenever you try to go back, the path will always change, and you will be in a circle, you know, essentially forever until you die, right? So that's what the Most High did to us. The Most High had us wandering in that wilderness, constantly moving, setting up the tabernacle, putting the tabernacle down. Do you think we had time to really tend to the land that we were on and plant these crops? No. So that's why when Moses said, when you come into the land that the Lord will give unto you, because now you will have the time, you will have the luxury to sit around and grow whatever it is that you want to grow. You might want a vineyard. You might want a pumpkin patch. You know, you might want a strawberry patch, a blueberry patch. Well, now you got the time to do that. And when you do that, these are the laws concerning that. Read verse 11.
Verse 11. And he shall wave the sheaf before the Lord to be accepted for you. On the morrow after the Sabbath, the priest shall wave it.
Excuse me. So yeah. So it says, so again in verse 10, it says that when you come into the land, you will bring a sheaf of your first fruits. The sheaf of the first fruits is in its name, the first fruits of the land, right? So things start to bloom, things start to grow during the spring, right? So we know that around the springtime, when we get the first fruits of our harvest, we're not supposed to eat that harvest. We're supposed to give that harvest, that first harvest to the Lord as a sheaf offering, so that the priest can go ahead and present it as a wave offering on that Sunday after the Sabbath. Let's get verse 14.
Verse 14. And ye shall eat neither bread, nor parched corn, nor green ears, until the selfsame day that ye have brought an offering unto your God. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations, in all your dwellings.
Okay, so now we see that he's saying, okay, so you're not going to eat neither bread or parched corn, until you have brought that offering to God. So until you gave your first fruits to God, you are not supposed to eat anything of that initial harvest until you pay God his taxes, right? I was talking with our elder. He said that God is like a mafia boss, right? God is like, I need my 10%, right? He needs it. And you know what? God deserves that 10%, because we don't deserve to be alive today. We don't deserve to be alive as Israelites today. We don't deserve to be alive at the end when our king comes back, right? But if we make it all the way to that end, hey, God deserves more than this offering. Why do you think Solomon, did the massive offering that he did, right? All those oxen, all those cattle, and Solomon walked to this mountain, right? He walked to the highest mountain at his area with all these oxen, all these cattle. He walked with them all the way up to this mountain. And I'm telling you, if you never climbed a hill, man, that's gonna destroy you. I'm telling you right now. Brother Xavier had us on this trail at Tabernacles, and I'm not gonna lie to you, that hill was steep. And I was holding Judith. I was holding Judith on my front. I was just like, oh man, am I gonna make it to this peak? Now Solomon is doing this with a whole slew of offerings, right? Because he understood, for God, anything is worth it, right? Anything. Okay. So let's go and give verse 15.
Verse 15. And ye shall count unto you from the morrow after the Sabbath, from the day that ye brought the sheaf of the wave offering, 7 Sabbaths shall be complete.
Read.
Even unto the morrow after the 7 Sabbaths shall ye number 50 days, and ye shall offer a new meat offering unto the Lord.
Okay, so he's letting you know that on that first harvest that you get, right? When you present it to the Lord on the morrow after that Sabbath, now you are going to count 7 Sabbaths starting on that Sunday. You're going to count 7 Sabbaths, right? And then you are going to count the morrow after that Sabbath as the 50th day, excuse me. That's why he says, even unto the morrow after the 7th Sabbath shall you number 50 days. 7 times 7 is 49. If you include that Sunday, 50. So God gave us a foolproof way of chronicling our time, right? He gave us a foolproof way of doing this, right? So that we can keep these days in the right times that it's appointed to us, right? So, here at the church, we go ahead and we base it off the spring equinox, because that lets us know, okay, hey, spring is here, right? We know things start to grow in spring. We know does the first harvest take place in fall, Brother Xavier?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either, right? Things start growing in spring. Okay, so we count that first harvest. We go ahead, we present it as a wave offering, okay? And then on that Sunday, we count 7 Sabbaths, and then we include the Sunday after that Sabbath. And then that's when we go ahead and we keep our feast of, Tabernacles. And then we keep our feast of Pentecost. Let's go ahead and get verse 21.
Verse 21. And ye shall proclaim on the selfsame day, that it may be a holy convocation unto you, that ye shall do no servile work therein. It shall be a statute forever in all your dwellings. throughout your generations.
Okay, so he says all your dwellings throughout your generations. So guess what? If you are that brother that's like, we are not in our land no more. Because I think someone told me that before when I was early in the truth. Someone did tell me that. I was like, dang, what do I say to that? But if you're that brother that's like, we are not in our land. All right. Well, God said in all your dwellings throughout your generations. So, hey, if we're in the land, out the land, in space, outer space, in the sea, deep sea, we keep in the Pentecost. All right. It don't matter. We finding a way. Okay. If we deep sea, we keep in the Pentecost with whatever we can eat down there. For real. Okay. So, and like I said, I'm going to touch on the sacrifices because, I know you guys are just like, well, he says the, meat offering. I'm seeing, offering with bread and 7 lambs without blemish. I don't even have 1 lamb. What do I do? What do I do? I don't even have 1. Don't worry. We're gonna get into how we sacrifice now because, the sacrifices were not done away with. The sacrifices translated. They moved. They changed.
They were altered.
Exactly. We do them differently now, but we still sacrifice because God still requires sacrifice from us. Okay? What kind of God would God be if he's like, you guys could just do whatever it is that you want to do and you don't have to make any hard decisions to serve me? What kind of God is that? Right? That sounds like the long, stringy, we are the world, white Jesus that we all know, right? And that's why he's so soft. I was watching a South Park episode. It was about the 6'7" stuff. God, I'm tired of hearing that. I'm not gonna lie to you. You kids need to stop. I feel like an old head now. You kids need to stop. For real. When I was watching this South Park episode, and Jesus, white Jesus is in the episode, and like they're basically going ahead and they're treating white Jesus like he's a pushover, right? They're treating white Jesus like a pushover. This guy, the principal, he went ahead, he beat up Jesus. He beat up Jesus. He fought him. He beat him up. And then you see white Jesus with the black guy coming back into the meeting. You know how they hop. They coming back into the meeting. He sat down and he just was quiet, right? Man, let him have tried that to the real Jesus. That boy, he would have got, omega beamed, beep, he would have been eviscerated, right? The God that we serve is not this soft, you can do what you want to do. You don't have to sacrifice anything for me. When we get married in the world, the contract is till death do us part. That sounds like a sacrifice to me, does it not? So how do we understand that, okay, in a marriage, there's sacrifices, all right? There's sacrifices that has to be made to keep the unity of this marriage, to keep this marriage standing. How can we understand that? But when it comes to the marriage with God, there's no sacrifices required. That makes no sense. When we made that covenant in Horeb, Moses said, hey, do you swear to keep all these commandments that the Lord your God gave you today? And we all said as a people, we do, right? So we signed that contract right there. So how could we have signed the contract and then we go ahead and we fornicate with different gods? We go to the white man. The white man's our God now. Oh, yay, Mr. White Man. I love you so much, right? We fornicate with the white man, but then we try to come back to God. And we try to say that we in the truth. And we try to say that we Christians, right? But we keeping Christmas. No, that's not in the book about Christ. He ain't say that. Right? So we can't be saying that we serve God, that we're Christians, if we're doing things contrary to him. If we're not trying our best to keep these traditions that's set up in place, because that's what this is. Pentecost, that's a tradition, right? Passover, that's a tradition. Feast of Unleavened Bread, that's a tradition. Okay? These are things that God gave us for a culture that shaped us as a people. And they were so great, just like what Brother Xavier said earlier in the class. The heathens took a lot of those principalities in these holy days and created their own holy days based off of them, right? They created their own holy days based off of them, right? The Negroes got Passover. We got 4th of July, right? the Negroes they got Hanukkah dedication, festival of lights. We got Christmas lights. Okay, they took our same principles and altered them and put them in their holidays. Okay, so when we see the same principles in God's holidays, right, we subconsciously reject them. Just like in the class that our brother did, Israel under mobile heart attack, right? They subconsciously programmed us. So when the real truth comes to us, we coherently reject it, right? So, oh yeah, we got a scripture right here. We got Jeremiah 3:1, fornicating with other gods, then coming back to the Most High. Facts. And I'm gonna actually go ahead and we gonna read that real quick. Jeremiah 3:1. Okay, yeah, you can read it.
It's the book of Jeremiah, chapter 3 and verse 1. They say, if a man put away his wife, and she go from him, and become another man's, shall he return unto her again? Shall not that land be greatly polluted? But thou hast played the harlot with many lovers. Yet return again to me, saith the Lord.
You know, that's crazy. Because, hey, that's how you know God is a man. Because he's like, hey, if a man put away his wife and she goes in hot girl summer, you know, for 5 summers, and she comes back to return to be his wife, is he going to take her back? Seeing her, you know, her OnlyFans everywhere? No, he's not going to be like, oh, okay, you can come back and raise my children. No, but God is so great of a man that, you know, we can fornicate with all these other different gods, but we can return unto him if we actually do the sacrifice that he wants now, right? So let's go. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Let's get Amos 5. We'll start at verse 21.
It's the book of Amos, chapter 5 and verse 21. I despise your feast days, and I will not smell in your solemn assemblies.
Okay. So, you know, again, somebody could come, they could be like, oh, you see, he said he hates your solemn assemblies. He hates your feast days. Man, you going to hell for keeping the Passover, brother. You going to hell for keeping Day of Atonement, brother. Yeah. Okay, let's keep reading.
Though ye offer me burnt offerings and your meat offerings, I will not accept them, neither will I regard the peace offerings of your fat beast.
So that's why he's saying, hey, I hate your feast days. Because if you notice, the only 2 feast days we touched on so far was, well, the only 3 technically. We had Passover, unleavened bread, and we had Pentecost, right? These days we had to do sacrifices. Okay? So on these feast days, we had sacrifices that we needed to do. That's why the Most High said, man, I hate your feast days, because I'm tired of smelling your wicked sacrifices that you putting on this altar. I'm tired of smelling this crippled and lame ox that you put on this altar, because you ain't want to give me your best ox. You ain't want to give me something without blemish. You ain't want to give me a lamb without blemish. I'm tired of smelling this lamb that's doing the stanky leg walking to the altar, right? I'm tired of it. That's why he's saying, I'm tired of your feast days, because he's tired of the sacrifices that was being made during those days. What am I talking about? Let's go to Psalms 40 in verse 6.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 40 and verse 6. Sacrifice and offering thou didst not desire. My ears hast thou opened. Burnt offering and sin offering hast thou not required.
Okay, so he's saying, hey, look, you know, burnt offering and sin offering hast thou not required, right? So hold on. But we are reading that God said that we have to do these sacrifices, and they will be a perpetual, you know, statute for us throughout our generations. But, you know, and I just gave you 2 scriptures that just said that God is tired of these sacrifices. So does God change? Is God different now? Let's get some more scriptures. Let's get Hebrews 10 and verse 1.
This is the book of Hebrews, chapter 10 and verse 1. For the law, having a shadow of good things to come, and not the very image of the things, can never with those sacrifices.
With those what?
Sacrifices.
With those what?
Sacrifices.
Read.
Which they offered year by year, continually make the comers thereunto perfect.
So these sacrifices were not able to make us perfect. That is weird, right? Because why would the Most High command us to do sacrifices in the first place if he's saying, I don't want y'all to sacrifice no more because they can't make you perfect? Well, it goes to what I was saying earlier. We still sacrifice, just differently, right? Because us sacrificing bull and rams is not going to take away the lustful thoughts of fornicating out our mind, right? You know, me going ahead and taking little Billy onto the altar where I got 40 other little Billies in my farm, I'm not going to care. I'm going to fornicate. Oh, yeah. Oh, man, I ain't sleep with you. Oh, I'm so sorry. You know, let me do the cross, whatever they do. You know, oh, I'm sorry, God. You know, little Timmy, please cleanse me, priest. Cleanse me from my sin. Please. Oh, I've been cleansed. Hallelujah. Whew. All right, now let me go back. Let me go down to that street again because I know that harlot Rahab is right there. So let me go to Rahab, right? These sacrifices could not make us perfect. Let's go ahead and get James 1 and let's get James 1 and 2.
It's the book of James, chapter 1 and verse 2. My brethren, count it all joy when ye fall into diverse temptations.
Okay, so diverse temptations just means diverse, just many temptations. He's saying count it all joy when you fall into different temptations. Read.
Knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience.
Okay, because your faith is being tried right now, right? Because, hey, guess what? When you're tempted of fornicating, your faith of, do I really believe in God enough that if I fornicate, that, not only will I destroy my people further and create more whores, but I'm going to die eternally. Do I really have faith in him for that? Do I really have, dang, man, I'm starving. It's the Sabbath. Oh, man, I forgot to prepare, pants down my legs, 6 days. I didn't prepare no food. It's the Sabbath. Man, I'm hungry. I wish I could just heat up this Hot Pocket right now. Do you really believe in God enough that if you heat up this Hot Pocket, you are going to be heating up for eternity, right? Do you really believe? That's why he says, hey, count it joy when you fall into temptations, because God is testing you. God is seeing how faithful are you. Are you going to overcome these temptations? Read verse 4.
Verse 4. But let patience have her perfect work.
Have her what?
Her perfect work.
Read.
That ye may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing.
Okay, so let patience have her perfect work, okay? Because guess what? If you're going ahead and you're like, it's the Sabbath, man, I want to eat, I'm so hungry, I'm about to die. You put in the Esau, I'm about to die. If I don't eat right now, I'm going to die, right? But hey, let patience have her perfect work, because guess what? When you are patiently being tried, when your faith is being tried and you're staying patient, you're not folding, as we say, you're not giving up, because that's what that patience is for, so you can endure, right? Let patience have her perfect work, because guess what? He that endureth to the end, the same shall be saved, right? So the trying of your faith will increase your patience. Your increase in patience will allow you to be perfect, because you will overcome and abstain from the things that are contrary to God. And guess what? You are perfect now, because now you are a fixed human. God fixed you. Okay? That's why you are perfect. David was fixed. Okay, David went ahead, he committed adultery and then murder. But guess what? God fixed him because the trying of his faith worketh that patience, right? David understood, dang, I went ahead and I not only slept with somebody's wife, but I got this brother killed, right? I got this brother killed. I did him dirty. Okay. Now, the Most High gave David grace, and that's why the scriptures say the Lord will have mercy on whom he will have mercy. And that's why, hey, it's important that whenever you think about sinning, always imagine that sin will be your last. If you ever think about sinning, always have in your mind, if I do this, I will die. And I guarantee you, if you have that in your mind, it's going to stop you from sinning. It's going to stop you from sinning in the future. These things will happen. A just man will fall 7 times, but the wicked will stay fallen, right? But a just man will rise up again. So we got to understand that the only way to really be perfect to God is not by anything materialistic. The only way to be perfect to God is by overcoming the temptations and trials that come with trying to keep these commandments in this backwards society. Okay? That's what makes you perfect. Let's go back to Hebrews 10. And we're gonna reread verse 1.
It's the book of Hebrews, chapter 10 and verse 1. For the law, having a shadow of good things to come, and not of the very image of the things, can never with those sacrifices which they offered year by year continually make the comers thereunto perfect.
You know why those sacrifices couldn't make them perfect? Because those sacrifices was not testing their patience. It was not trying their faith. Because I guarantee you, if we as a nation only had one lamb, if we just had one lamb and we had no food, we was like Cubans right now in Cuba, right? We barely had any food. I guarantee you, if we had to sacrifice that lamb because of our sin, it would be a bigger issue. Because we'd be like, damn, that was our food. That was our only source of survival for the month, right? We had an abundance when we was in the land of Israel. So those sacrifices couldn't make us perfect because those sacrifices was not enough to fully have us grasp and understand what it means to repent, to change. We was not converted when we did this, right? We did not turn unto righteousness when we made these sacrifices. How am I just saying this out my keister, right? Am I just speaking BS? Let's get verse 2.
Verse 2. For then would they not have ceased to be offered?
Okay, so if these sacrifices allowed our brothers and sisters to stop sinning, wouldn't people have stopped sacrificing? So, like what I said, these sacrifices that we were doing were not changing our mindset. Our mindset was still the same. Just because, and again, we were so wicked that we stopped giving God the best of our sacrifices. Even when we had to do these physical sacrifices, we stopped giving him our best. And then bad enough, we had people like Eli's sons, not to put the brother out there, but we had people like Eli's sons going ahead and taking out of the Lord's portion for the sacrifice. So this sacrificial system that was set up in place was not a perfect system because these sacrifices would have stopped being offering. Read.
Verse 3.
Because
that the worshipers once purged should have had no more conscience of sin.
Okay, so these guys that got their sins purged, their consciousness should have been changed. Their mindset should have been changed, right? They should have been converted, like that Psalms 19 and 7. The law is perfect, converting the soul, right? Their soul was not converted. That's why it says that they if the worshipers once purged should have had no more conscience of sins. They should have been converted. Read verse 3.
But in those sacrifices, there is a remembrance again made of sins every year.
Read.
For it is not possible that the blood of bulls and of goats should take away sins.
Okay. God is saying that the blood of these bulls and goats, right? It is impossible for their blood to cleanse us of our sins, because the only way we can stop sinning is, again, if we change how we think. That is the only way we can stop sinning, right? Is the blood of a bull, like, let's think about this right now, okay? Let's say that we love eating chocolate chip ice cream, right? We love chocolate chip ice cream, right? Let's say that's a sin, okay? Let's say it's a sin to eat chocolate chip ice cream, okay? But we just love this chocolate chip ice cream and we can't stop eating it. Do you think the blood of a different creature is going to change your mindset to where you can go ahead and be like, man, that chocolate chip ice cream is gross? No. Unless they're getting slaughtered on top of a tub of chocolate chip ice cream, you're gonna go back to that chocolate chip ice cream, aren't you? So that's why he is saying it is impossible for the blood of these bulls and goats to take away your sins, because you guys are actively not trying to change your mind. The reason we were doing these sacrifices was so God could have us understand that when we sinned, something had to die, right? That's why we did these sacrifices, because with sins, you need blood. Blood is needed for the remission of sins. Why you think Christ put his blood, his perfect blood, on the line, so that we could have this grace that lasts for so long, so we can have time to actually change how we think, right? Because again, only blood can cleanse sins. Our people were so wicked and so evil, we had so much that the blood of 1, 2, 3, 5, 10, 20 goats was not going to be enough to change our mindset. You understand? Shalom, brother Kenny. Hey, happy Sabbath to you, bro. Good to see you in the building. I also I know Judah Monster was in here. Where are you at? Oh, brother, do it. Hey, shalom, happy Sabbath to you. And I know I seen you here, Judah Monster. I just want you to know that I seen you. I seen you. And shalom to you. All praises. But okay, there you go. Hey, shalom. Yeah, like I said, I'm trying to get better at reading these comments, so just bear with me. But like I said, it is impossible for the way that we were sacrificing originally to be able to change our mindset. Read verse 8.
Verse 8.
Actually, read verse 7.
Verse 7. Then said I, Lo, I come. In the volume of the book it is written of me, to do thy will.
To do what?
To do thy will.
To do what?
To do thy will.
Okay.
O God.
Okay, read.
Above, when he said, sacrifice and offering and burnt offerings and offering for a sin, thou wouldest not, neither hadst pleasure therein, which are offered by the law.
Which are offered by the law. Again, in Pentecost, we have sacrifices that we need to do, right? We have to sacrifice. Excuse me. In Tabernacles, we had to sacrifice. Every day we had a burnt offering, okay? Every day we had a burnt offering, and there was a fire that couldn't go out for this burnt offering continually throughout the day, every day, okay? So it is said that these sacrifices, the Most High did not have pleasure in, even though they were offered in accordance to the law, right? In accordance to the law. But again, we have a different way of sacrificing now, because guess what? I'm not going to get too into it, because if I do, we'll have another 3-hour class. But the reason that we do our sacrifices differently now is because I'm about to show you through scripture, if we sacrifice the way that God is telling us to right here, that we will be different people. We will be better people. And we got a question from Brother Brew. Brother Brew, is that to examine ourselves? You know, hey, when you do the real sacrifice that God is telling you to do, the first thing that you are actually required to do is to examine yourself. So, hey, you are right, Brother Brew, because that is going into the next scripture I'm going to get for us. Let's go and get Psalms 51 and verse 17. Because, hey, Brother Brew, I'm going to leave that up right there. Brother Brew said, is that to examine ourselves? That's a good question. That is a good question. All the way from the land of the bruvs and crumpets. Oh man, that's funny. All the way from the lands of bruv. Yeah, bruvs and where's the peas, fam? Where's the peas? Hey, I used to love that Top Boy. I'm not gonna lie to you. But yeah, let's get that Psalms 51 and verse 17.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 51 and verse 17. The sacrifices of God are a broken spirit, a broken and a contrite heart. O God, thou wilt not despise.
Okay, and he says, thou will not despise. Now, hey, notice, Brother Xavier, how in Hebrews 10, he said that he despised our sacrifices? He despised those sacrifices of the bulls and goats? Well, dang, right here, you know, David's telling us that God will never despise the sacrifices of a contrite and broken spirit. Let's get that word contrite, because Brother Bruce said, is that to examine ourselves? And you know,
We don't do that.
hold on, I got you.
Evil is good.
I got you.
Home for shot.
There we go. Hey, took us 4 tries, but we got it. You know what I'm saying? There we go. That is completely right. We're gonna go ahead. We'll get this definition, contrite. Okay, let's go, and I'll show y'all what it means to be contrite. All right. So contrite, and let me how do I gotta do it old school. Bear with me. All right. So contrite. All right. So it says feeling or expressing remorse or penitence, affected by guilt. Hey, so guess what? If you are a person that don't examine yourself, how can you ever feel guilt? How can you ever feel guilt? You know, if I go ahead and, you know, Brother Xavier just got some new shoes and I'm going and I'm walking past him, I step on the shoes and I push him and I keep moving. I ain't think nothing of it. Am I going to feel guilty? No. But if I stepped on his shoes and pushed him and I think about like, oh, damn, didn't he just get those? And chat, if you can hear us, put 1 in the chat. Okay, so yeah, hey, the screen is going crazy right. Yeah, so Brother Brew, you know, is it important to you know, examining yourself is having that right now. How notice how are also of a broken spirit, right? who are broken, right? Those who are broken are willing to accept and understand, right? So how can you go ahead and fortify, right?
It's been doing.
So I was doing that because it was plugged in. Mm. All right, y'all. Y'all gonna have to bear with us. You know what I'm saying? We having technical difficulties. You know, Satan never sleep, just like God never sleeps. So you know, we are going to try our best to still get this lesson going. Okay. So, like I said, when your mind has been broken, when your mind has been, torn down, you are willing to accept any new pieces to build your house back up. Okay. So that's why you have to understand what's truly right, which is keeping the laws, and hold the regret for living contrary to those laws that was given to you, right? That's why broken and contrite. You have to have a broken mind. Your understanding is destroyed. Everything I thought was right was wrong. And you also have to feel guilty for going against God for as long as you've had. These new Christians that come and think everything is all kumbaya, and they never have an ounce of remorse for anything that they've done, right, towards God, that's not a contrite spirit. All right. A contrite spirit is somebody that's willing to understand and accept the wrong that they done and feel hurt and guilty by it. Like, dang, I really hurt this person. How can I change it? Because if you have a contrite spirit, you will then have the spirit of wanting to repair, of wanting to reprimand, because that's why it says broken. If you have something broken, you naturally want it fixed, right? So that's why it goes into Matthew 9. How can the physician be there for those who say they're not sick? Okay, this is what this is going into. You have to understand that you've been living wrong, and you have to understand that everything that you've known up until this point is shattered. Okay, just like that car crash I talked about last week. Okay, we got hit with that car crash, which is the truth. We have to learn how to walk again. Okay, so no, it's all good. I'm telling you, this happens when it's charged, when it's not charged. Hey, Satan will always find a way, but we the saints will always find a way to keep it moving. And I appreciate you, Brother Brew, for letting us know that is good. Lord's will, it stays that way. So yeah, the sacrifices of God is of a broken spirit, right? Let's get Romans 12, and we'll read verse 1.
It's the book of Romans, chapter 12 and verse 1. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy.
Wait, what?
Holy.
Read.
Acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service.
And that's your reasonable service. Now notice too how it says present your bodies as a living sacrifice. Back then, we had to present the bodies of animals, right? As sacrifices. God is telling us now, present your own body to the altar. I'm tired of these bulls and rams. Present your own body, right? What does that mean? Hey, if I struggle with cooking on the Sabbath, I have to cut that part of my body off. That's a carnal thought. That comes from my body. How do I know this is true? Because the feeling of hunger comes from my body. The feeling of hunger does not come from God. God does not send, you are hungry now. And I'm like, damn, I'm hungry. No, that's not how it works, right? You get the feeling of hungry because there is a lack of food in your stomach, and your brain sends a response to your stomach like, Negro, feed me, right? That is what's happening. It's a very physical and carnal emotion. So if I have that as my struggle, I have to be willing to sacrifice that for God. because that's my reasonable service. And notice how it said service. We are supposed to do these commandments, right? Not just keep them and put them on the wall and stare at them while the crystals and candles is burning. No, we are supposed to do them, right? Read verse 2.
Verse 2. And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind.
How?
By the renewing of your mind.
No, you just get dunked in the water and that baptism and you good.
By the renewing of your mind.
We just got to get the bull and goats on the altar.
Renewing of your mind.
Read.
That ye may prove what is that good.
And notice how it says that ye may prove what is that good, right? Because again, the only thing good, Romans 7 and 12, is the commandments. So guess what? When you change your mind by keeping the commandments, like Psalms 19 and 7 says, the law is perfect, converting the soul. When you do this and your mind gets renewed, you present your body as the sacrifice, the things that you used to do. I'll tell you now, I used to want to get tattoos. You know, I was just broke. I ain't gonna lie to you. I was broke. But that was good. All praises to the both sides because I don't have one on my body, right? But that's something that I've wanted, you know, ever since I was a little boy. I'm like, man, I want to be tatted up, right? That was something I sacrificed coming into the truth because I'm like, oh, wait, I can't do this, right? It says I can't put markings on my flesh. So that's something I have to be willing to give up. And I did, right? Now my mind has changed. I don't ever think about, damn, I wish I had got that tattoo, man. No, because my mind is different now, right? Hey, exactly. Mind update. I got that iOS 12 now. I don't even know what's the latest iOS, but hey, I got the iOS 12 now. You know, I was running iOS 5. Okay. The Lord updated me times 2. So again, the renewing of your mind is hello. Oh yeah, hello. Can y'all hear us? Hey, I forgot that we're not on the mics right now. We're on the laptop mic. So let us know that if you can hear us. You guys will have to excuse us because you know some of these babies, you know, they're gonna creep up on here too. So all right, Brother Brew is saying no sound. So okay, all right, cool. Hey, all praises to the Most High. Yeah, sorry about that. Again, Israel. You know, we're just gonna have to finish this class, old school. You know, back to the basics. For real, back to the basics. So, as I was saying, you know, that you may prove what is that good, which is the commandments, acceptable and perfect will of God. You know, so we're also gonna go ahead and get Psalms chapter 4 and verse 5. Because again, I'm talking about, you know, sacrifices. So you guys are now understanding, okay, so God doesn't, when I see Passover or when I see Pentecost, I don't have to worry about the meat offering. You know, I don't have to worry about the peace offering. I don't have to worry about all of that because God wants us to offer our bodies now. Okay. Well, dang, how do I do that? I understand now, you know, my spirit is broken. I'm contrite, I'm remorseful. I want to know what is right. Okay. So again, I'm going to show you scripturally how do we sacrifice if you don't already understand. Let's get that Psalms 4 and verse 5.
The book of Psalms chapter 4 and verse 5. Offer the sacrifices of righteousness.
Of what?
Of righteousness.
Okay.
And put your trust in the Lord.
Let's get Psalms 119 and 142. Because David said, offer the sacrifices of righteousness, right? Now, I might have some Christians right now, hey, they jumping out their skin. They're like, oh, I'm righteous. Yes, let's go. I'm already righteous. I go to church. You know, I pay tithes. You know, hey, we in there. I'm already doing the sacrifices. Let's get Psalms 119 and 142 to find out what is righteousness according to God.
It's the book of Psalms, chapter 119 and verse 142. Thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy law,
And the what?
and thy law
Read.
is the truth.
Okay, so the law is the truth. Okay, everything goes back to the laws, the truth, the gospel, the spirit, what's good, what's holy. It's all the commandments, right? Because the commandments is just that perfect, right? God's way of life is that perfect that it's the only thing that's good. It's the only thing that's perfect. It's the only thing that can convert you. It's the only thing that is holy, because that is what is righteousness according to God. His laws, his statutes, and his commandments, right? So let's go back to the feast days. I know we got off on a tangent, but I wanted to touch on the sacrifices a little more, because a lot of these feast days are going to have sacrifices. And, you know, I specifically made this class for people that's new, and for people that might not know, that want to know what the feast days are, right? That's the purpose of us, you know, me and Brother Xavier bringing this class out, so we can give y'all kind of a gist and a path, a gateway to go on the direction on how to keep these laws and what these holy days are, right? So now that we understand what we sacrifice now, which is our bodies, our flesh, things that are carnal against the commandments, that's what we sacrifice now. Okay, so let's get back to Leviticus 23, and we're gonna go and read verse 24.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 23 and verse 24. Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, in the 7th month, in the first day of the month, shall ye have a Sabbath, a memorial of blowing of trumpets, and holy convocation.
Okay, so again, a holy convocation, a gathering in accordance to the commandments. Okay, that's one. And then that it shall be a Sabbath, right? So this trumpets is going to be treated like a Sabbath unto us, this feast of trumpets, right? And then it also says that it's a memorial of blowing trumpets, right? So let's also get verse 25.
Verse 25. Ye shall do no servile work therein, but ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord.
Okay, so again, that offering that we make by fire unto the Lord now is us offering the sin that is contrary to God, that is in our minds. All right, that offering that we make by fire now is us offering the shrimp, right? I was trying to find my offering the shrimp. It's us offering the lobster. Okay, it's us offering the pork, the swine. All right, that's how we do the offering now. Okay, and I also want to get Numbers 10, and I believe it's 25. Because I'm telling you now, like when I first 10 and 10, that's what it is. When I first came into the truth, you know, Feast of Trumpets, a lot of these holy days I didn't really understand why we do them. But you know, I never really understood, you know, why we blow these trumpets. Just like why do we eat unleavened bread, right? There's a reason for all of this. Get Numbers 10 and 10.
It's the book of Numbers, chapter 10 and verse 10. Also in the day of your gladness, and in your solemn days, and in the beginning of your months.
Okay, so just like, you know, in the beginning of your months and your solemn days, you know, in the days of your gladness, you're going to always blow this trumpet. Read.
Ye shall blow with the trumpets over your burnt offerings, and over the sacrifices of your peace offerings, that they may be to you for a memorial before your God.
Okay, so that they may be a memorial unto the Most High, right? Let's go ahead and get let me also get verse 9, because this is, you know, verse 10, you know, it's good to go with Leviticus 23 and 24, but I really want a verse 9.
Verse 9. And if you go to war in your land against the enemy that oppresseth you. Then ye shall blow an alarm with the trumpets, and ye shall remember before the Lord your God, and ye shall be saved from your enemies.
Okay, so hey, this trumpet is more than just, us just blowing it on our solemn days, on our feast days. When we're blowing this trumpet, we want God to remember us. When we blow this trumpet, when we do, we want God to be in his holy seat. Being like, is that the Negroes? Oh yeah, man, I do got Negroes down there, don't I? Right? Because hey, God turned his back on us. Okay, so we blowing the trumpet now more than ever, right? Because when we blow this trumpet, it's a memorial before God. It's a way for God to remember us. And it's a way for God to be like, you know what? I do got to save my people, right? So even though this took place in Numbers, before we really got into the land of Israel, the same thing applies now. We are right now not in our land, and we are being oppressed by the enemy, right? And we want God to save us. So guess what? We blowing that trumpet. Every beginning of the month, we blowing that trumpet. Every Sabbath, we blowing the trumpet. Every tabernacles, the first and eighth day, we blowing the trumpets, right? We're gonna get into tabernacles too. But this is why we blow the trumpet, because it's a memorial between us and God. It's a way for God another way for God to know that we his people, essentially. Okay, so Feast of Trumpets, we're gonna go back to Leviticus 23 and verse 24. You're gonna reread that.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 23 and verse 24. Speaking to the children of Israel, saying, in the 7th month, in the first day of the month, shall ye have a Sabbath, a memorial of blowing of trumpets, and holy convocation.
Okay, so again, in the 7th month, the first day of the 7th month, hey, the 7th month is loaded. Okay, anybody that is new, watching online, anybody that is new, just know that the 7th month is a loaded month. Okay, we got a lot of stuff going on the 7th month. It's like the Most High was like, let's cram all of this in this 1 month in fall, because I know you guys are not gonna want to do nothing in winter. He was right. I don't want to do anything in this weather, right? But hey, we still here. So again, in the 7th month, the first day is the Feast of Trumpets, and in the beginning of every month, just like when we went to Numbers 10 and 10, we blow the trumpets. Okay. So let's go ahead and let's move on. We're going to get now verse 27. We're going to get the Day of Atonement. It's the day that a lot of us in the truth are just like, oh, okay, that day is coming. It's a day that we all mentally, physically, emotionally prepare for. Because yeah, it's real affliction, I'll tell you that. And we'll get into what that affliction looks like. So let's get that.
Verse 27. Also, on the 10th day of this 7th month, there shall be a day of atonement. It shall be a holy convocation unto you, and ye shall afflict your souls, and offer offering made by fire unto the Lord.
Okay, so now on the 10th day of this same month. So the first day of the 7th month, we had trumpets. Now the 10th day of the 7th month, we have the Day of Atonement. Okay, now the Day of Atonement, also a holy convocation. All these feasts that you see in Leviticus 23, they're all holy convocations. Okay, you have to gather. You cannot forsake the assemblies. Let's get Hebrews 10. Let's go to that just real quick, because I want y'all to know how important it is that we actually gather and that we congregate together. Like it's not just some we don't have to do this, or it's optional. No, we have to do this. Okay, let's get Hebrews 10 and 25.
It's the book of Hebrews, chapter 10 and verse 25. Not forsaking the assembly of ourselves together.
Not forsaking what?
The assembly of ourselves together, as the manner of some is, but exhorting one another, and so much the more as ye see the day approaching.
Because when you gather amongst your brothers constantly, when you don't forsake these gatherings that are required for you to go to, hey, guess what? You are missing out on the second piece to the puzzle of the truth. which comes with, being exhorted, which comes by being warned, being encouraged, being, being empowered by your brothers and sisters keeping the laws. When you're only by yourself, right? How are you ever gonna really feel and understand, the true connection of the nation of Israel? If you every day make sure you're as far away from the nation as possible, okay? How can you be exhorted? How can you be like, dang? Because hey, I'm telling you right now, when I see all these little babies running around right here, right? When I see all my brothers and sisters, having more kids, being new parents, reoccurring parents, right? Hey, that's warning me that I gotta make sure I'm right. Because look at all of these new spirits around. Look at all of these new souls around, right? It's up to us, the brethren, to make sure that they make it to the kingdom. How am I ever going to feel convicted like that if I'm playing Cyberpunk at my house all day? I'm not going to feel convicted, right? I'm going to want to level up on the game, not in real life. So we can't forget these holy convocations. Read verse 27 from the top.
Verse 27. Also, on the 10th day of this 7th month, there shall be a day of atonement. It shall be a holy convocation unto you, and ye shall afflict your souls, and offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord.
Okay, and you're supposed to afflict your souls. We're going to get into what afflicting looks like. And also just get verse 28.
Verse 28. And ye shall do no work in that same day, for it is a day of atonement, to make an atonement for you before the Lord your God.
Okay, so, and again, you shall do no work because it's the Day of Atonement, right? You got to understand that the Day of Atonement is a day that God gave us that we can actually have our sin credit wiped clean. Imagine if the credit card bureaus gave us a day in the year that they wipe our credit clean, or at least, put our credit back to good, right? A lot of us is struggling. And Esau, they don't care, right? But hey, God sees us struggling, and God, he's like, you know what? I want to give you guys another chance. Even though we have grace. Even though we have grace now. God still gave us a day, right? That we can make an atonement with him. That we can wipe the slate clean with him, right? What does that look like? Because it says the 10th day, afflict. Somebody that's new, that don't know, that, hey, I'd be first in line to fix. I'm telling you. Hey, if the government really did that, man, boy, shoot. Hey, all of us would have seven to 800. But this affliction, what this affliction looks like, and how do we keep this day? Let's get verse 32.
Verse 32. It shall be unto you a Sabbath of rest, and ye shall afflict your souls in the 9th day of the month at even. From even until even shall ye celebrate your Sabbath.
Okay, so you see how it says, from even unto even shall ye celebrate your Sabbath. So God is thorough. He's letting you know. Okay, so, the 10th day is the feast. Yes, is the Day of Atonement. We can break the fast that day, right, at the even. But the fast starts on the 9th day at even. Because how confused would we be if we just read 27 and that's all the information we had, right? That's why God is thorough, okay? Verse 32, he says, at the 9th day of the month, at even to even, will be your Sabbath, right? And you will afflict your souls. So your fast will be from even to even. At the even of the 10th day is when you can break the fast, is when you can eat, and is when you can, go ahead and, and enjoy your day. Because 9 times out of 10, a lot of us is not having the best of time when we're being afflicted, Now, I'm saying affliction. What does that affliction look like? Let's go to Isaiah 58:3, because I said fast. You guys are probably like, because there could be some wicked people out there that's like, man, I already afflicted my soul, man. I put the ash on my head, and I read Psalms today, man, and I was afflicted, man. I was so afflicted reading Psalms. I went through Psalm 73, 78, and I was like, dang, we so wicked.
We so evil. But who? Thank God I did that, right? This is what the affliction looks like. Let's get that.
Book of Isaiah, chapter 58 and verse 3. Wherefore have we fasted? Say, they, and thou seest not.
Wait, hold on. Start over.
Wherefore have we fasted?
Have we what?
Have we fasted?
Okay, read.
Say they, and thou seest not. Wherefore have we afflicted our souls?
Have we what?
Afflicted our souls.
Afflicted. Okay, read.
And thou takest no knowledge.
All right. So, we really don't have to get the rest of that. Isaiah 58 and 3 is really for people that's keeping the Day of Atonement and they just can't wait for it to be over. They're not even thinking about precepts. They're not even thinking about making amends to their brothers that they wronged, or to their brothers and sisters that they have odds with. They just want the day to be over. Okay. But I brought you here to see that the fasting is afflicting your soul, right? That's what the affliction is fasting, is making sure. And it's not the Muslim fast. Okay. All right. We don't eat, we don't drink. All right. This is real affliction. Okay. And as we afflict our souls, we got to remember why we do it in the first place, because we want our slate clean with God. Okay. Let's go ahead and get Leviticus 23 and 34. I'm probably just gonna stay on the Levitical feast. We do got after we touch on these Levitical feasts. Excuse me. There is more feasts that we have in the Apocrypha. We have the Feast of Dedication, which is Hanukkah. We have Purim is really in Esther. So we'll go ahead. We'll get Esther real quick. We might as well. But we have Purim, we have Day of Simon, and we have Destruction of Nicanor. All right. So now these are also feasts that we have. But what separates these feasts from the Levitical feasts is that these feasts are not Sabbaths. They're not considered Sabbaths. Okay. Now, at the end of the day, would you be in the right spirit if you have that feast and you're not trying to make a holy convocation? You're not trying to gather amongst your brethren? Yeah, your spirit is off. Because at the end of the day, you should still want to have the spirit of, it's dedication. Let me at least spend time, with Brother Xavier real quick. Let me go to Brother Xavier's house, spend some time with him. It's Purim. Let me go ahead. Let me make sure I spend some time with Elder Rick. In Purim, we was passing out presents, right? So, we talk about Christmas. If you want to give presents, do it on Purim. That could be your replacement right there. A way better replacement. Okay. What did I say? What did I say that we was getting? Did I give you a scripture?
You can just say go back to Leviticus.
Okay, let's go back to Leviticus 23, and we'll start at verse 34.
It's the book of Leviticus, chapter 23 and verse 34. Speaking to the children of Israel, saying, the 15th day of this 7th month shall be the Feast of Tabernacles for 7 days unto the Lord.
Okay, read.
On the first day shall be a holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein.
Read.
7 days shall ye offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. On the 8th day shall be a holy convocation unto you, and ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. It is a solemn assembly, and ye shall do no servile work therein.
Okay, so again, the Feast of Tabernacles is going to be on the 15th day of the 7th month, and the Feast of Tabernacles, is going to be a total of 8 days. A lot of these feasts are 7, right? Tabernacles is 8 days. It's not going to be 7 days like Feast of Unleavened Bread, right? It's going to be, it's going to be 8 days. I almost confused myself. It's going to be 8 days, okay? And on the 1st and 8th day, it's going to be treated like a Sabbath. The 1st and 8th day is going to be your holy convocation. You need to make sure that you have a large formal assembly in accordance to the commandments of God. That is the direct definition of holy convocation. Let's get verse 39.
Verse 39. Also in the 15th day of the 7th month, when ye have gathered in the fruit of the land, Ye shall keep a feast unto the Lord 7 days.
Okay, so again, we're not focusing on these sacrifices offering by fire 7 days, right? Because we know what the sacrifices are now. We know what the sacrifices of a righteous man are now, right? But now he's saying that, that in the 15th day of the 7th month, when you gathered the fruits of the land, right? Because guess what? We have Pentecost, right? That's your feast of first fruits. So when we get our first harvest, we dedicate that to the Most High. On our last harvest, we dedicate that to the Most High as well. So we have the feast of first fruits in spring, in the beginning of our harvest. Towards the end of our harvest in fall, we have the Feast of Tabernacles, or the Feast of Ingathering, because you're gathering in the rest of your crops. You're gathering in the rest of your harvest for the year, because before it becomes unfortunately cold, right? So it says that and on the first day shall be a Sabbath, and on the 8th day shall be a Sabbath, lasting a total of 8 days. Let's get verse 41.
Verse 41. And ye shall keep it a feast unto the Lord 7 days in the year. It shall be a statute forever in your generations.
For how long?
Forever in your generations.
Read.
You shall celebrate it in the 7th month.
Verse 42.
Ye shall dwell in booths.
Okay, dwell in booths. Because it's good that I went here. Because I almost forgot to touch on, how we keep these tabernacles. Because, hey, guess what? We don't have land. You're like Brother Donnie. You just told us that if we don't have land, we just got to keep the tabernacles. All right? But the only thing you told me is that I'm supposed to gather in my crops. I don't have land. So what am I supposed to do? Am I just supposed to burn? Am I just supposed to go to the lake of fire? No. He says that we are supposed to dwell in booths 7 days. Read.
All that are Israelites.
No, the Edomites.
All that are Israelites.
No, the Moabites, the wild branch.
Israelites.
Okay, read.
Born shall dwell in booths.
All right, so yeah, this only applies to the Israelites. Okay, this only applies to God's children. Okay, and get verse 43. We might as well. That's a good one.
That your generations may know that I made the children of Israel to dwell in booths when I brought them out of the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. Okay,
so if you guys don't know, right, we was dwelling in the wilderness for an extra 40 years. Okay, when we really just could have went and got the kingdom, the nation of Israel. We could have just got it right there when Moses sent out Joshua, Caleb, and the rest of the young recruits to go spy out the land. What did they do? They came back, right? And they told a lie on God. They told a lie on the report that which they saw. And because of that, God got mad, and he told us that we will wander for another 40 years in this wilderness before we receive the land. Okay. Now he said you will dwell in booths, right? These booths are tents, right? Now, if you look up the definition of booth, it's like temporary habitation or something. Let me see. Booth. Yeah. Okay. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna get this for y'all because you're like, Brother Donnie, tent is not in the Bible. Why are you saying we gotta dwell in tents? It says booths. You are adding to the word. All right. Let's read booth. All right. So booth, a small temporary. What does that say right there? Tent. All right. So we don't even got to finish the rest of that. That just proves the point. So when he says dwell in booths, right, he's telling you to dwell in tents because when we was in the wilderness, we was dwelling in tents. That's why when Moses said in verse 10 in Leviticus 23, speak unto the children of Israel and say unto them, when you be coming to the land, now follow this law, right? Now, when you gather these crops, when you have your land, when you grow your own crops, this is how you're going to do it. You know how I know this is true? Because in verse 22, right after he explains to us how to keep the Pentecost, he says, and when ye reap the harvest of your land, thou shalt not make clean riddance of the corners of thy field when thou reapest, neither shalt thou gather any gleaning of thy harvest. Thou shalt lead them unto the poor and to the stranger. I am the Lord your God. He's telling us this because he's saying, look, you guys have never had your own country before, right? you guys were always Abraham. He was, a sojourner, right? Isaac, he was a sojourner. Jacob, he was a sojourner, right? Now, when we got to the land of Egypt, we didn't get to Egypt and we was like, you know what? Hey, this Egypt will be our nation. No, we only got to Egypt because conveniently, Joseph, looked out for us. And Joseph was put in that position of God for the Egyptians. The Pharaoh told Joseph, hey, you are in my position, right? So anybody has something to do with you, just know they have something to do with me. It's a problem with me. Okay? Yeah, I thought it's for everybody. No, it is not for everybody. Okay? It is not. Of Israel born, right? So again, right, when we talk about these different holy days, these are customs, these are traditions that we kept, and we're so far away from it, right? Our people think that it's a tradition to twerk at Saturday night on the club. Our people think it's a tradition to take the shots of Henny Friday night after work and go to the strip club and blow their check. That is what our new traditions are. Okay? Our new traditions are putting on a ski mask and hopping in a Dodge Charger, right, with ARPs and ARs and sliding on people we don't like. That's a new tradition, right? Our new tradition is getting the fent and bagging it up and selling it to our people and watching them die slowly. That is our new tradition, okay? We are so far away from how we used to live as a people, okay? We had all these beautiful holidays, okay? And I couldn't even get to the ones in the Apocrypha, okay? We have all these beautiful holidays. These beautiful holidays were set in place as signs for us. Notice how when we go over these holidays, it always ends so that you will know that I am the Lord your God. For the Sabbath, he says that. For Passover, he says that. For Feast of Unleavened Bread, he says that. For Pentecost, he says that. You know why? Because these holy days are a way for us to remember, oh dang, we are God's people. Okay, oh, you know what? We are the people that came from the Red Sea. Oh, you know what? We are the people that was dwelling in the wilderness for 40 years in tents. That was us. We are the people that had the trumpets, going over to the land of Canaan, letting them know that we about to take the land. That was us. So let's blow this trumpet every feast day because we are those people. Okay, we got to get back to our original culture, back to the basics, right? The Ezra 7:10 refresh, recap, the got milk, right? Okay, so, I'm going to go ahead. We're going to end it off right here. These are the feast days, the holy days that are Sabbaths, okay? So these holy days you must keep. You have to keep. In fact, there's in Exodus, I believe it's 23. Yeah, in Exodus 23 and verse, I guess you could start. Oh, how do I want to do this? Because I really want verse 17, but I want kind of the context. So go ahead and get verse 14. Yeah, get verse 14.
It's the book of Exodus, chapter 23 and verse 14. 3 times thou shalt keep a feast unto me in the year. Thou shalt keep the feast of unleavened bread. Thou shalt eat unleavened bread 7 days, as I commanded thee, in the time appointed of the month of Abib. For in it thou camest out from Egypt, and none shall appear before me empty.
Okay, so again, the Feast of Unleavened Bread. When you see in the scriptures, you see, the Feast of Unleavened Bread, or you see Passover, they're usually being referred to, as together, right? Because, the Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread, they go hand in hand. Okay, they're almost the same holy day. The Passover, the Lord slew all the firstborn of the Egyptians, passed over the Israelites in the land of Goshen. The very next day, we had to eat unleavened bread because we were thrust out of Egypt and we got saved, right? So they go hand in hand. Get verse 16.
In the feast of harvest, the first fruits of thy labors.
Okay, so, actually keep reading.
Which thou hast sown in the field.
Okay, so you know, and the feast of harvest, the first fruits of thy labors, the Pentecost. Okay, so again, verse 14, he said 3 times, thou shalt keep a feast unto me, right? First is the Passover and feast of unleavened bread, right? The second is the feast of first fruits, the Pentecost. Read.
And the feast of ingathering, which is in the end of the year, when thou hast gathered in thy labors out of the field.
And the feast of tabernacles. Give verse 17.
3 times in a year, all thy males shall appear before the Lord God.
Yep. So, you know, hey, the reason why I especially, because I knew this was going to be long, the reason why I especially wanted to cover these Levitical feasts is because these Levitical feasts are the most important feasts. Like if you can't remember Hanukkah, if you can't remember Purim, if you can't remember destruction of Nicanor, you better remember Passover. You better remember the Feast of First Fruits. You better remember the Feast of Tabernacles. That is the purpose of why I'm going over specifically these Levitical feasts that we are required to keep even today. So Lord's will, people were edified in this lesson. Lord's will, you guys were able to glean something from this, even if you knew what these feast days were. Hopefully this was a good recap for you. You know, that's why recap is there. Hopefully it was a good refresher for you. And hopefully, you know, people were able to understand not only what do we have to do on these days, but why we do them in the first place. So do you have anything for us, Brother Xavier? Okay. So, you know, I want to wish my people the best, you know, Lord's will. Y'all are having a good Sabbath, a great Sabbath. And Lord's will, y'all continue to have a great Sabbath. And just know that everything that happens is all in the Most High's will. Everything. And as long as you understand that, you're able to overcome any stumbling block that may be put in your path. So I hope if this was a stumbling block for you, that you've been able to overcome this stumbling block, and you have the spirit to wanna, you know, to do these feasts. And I also want to shout out Brother Judah Monster. I don't know how I could get. Yeah. Okay, there you go. Hey, my bad. Hey, I'm being slow. I promise y'all I'm 26. Okay, I am not 56. Okay, I'm 26. All right. But hey, all praises to the Most High for Brother Judah Monster. You know, supporting the mission. You know. Oh yeah, hey, dang! You see, when I finally knew what button to press,
There with confidence, you know?
I was like, yes. But but yeah, you know, hey, all praises to the Most High. Thank you, brother. You know, like I said, Lord's will, my people are able to glean something, and happy Sabbath, Shalom.